live.
Blah 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 blah.
Ugh.
Mm, mm.
Yep, I can hear it too.
Can you hear me now? Okay. So, a lot of stuff happened, and let's start with Nate. How are you? What you been playing?
Yeah, I mean, I have been obviously playing Final Fantasy 16. I finally finished it. Um, Now I am working on the Final Fantasy mode slowly but surely. Yeah, it is quite a bit faster because you realize just how many cutscenes you end up skipping. Uh, so that's a part of it. Um, Again, difficulty is not really a factor for me in games. People out here asking for ridiculous stuff like an even harder mode or something. I'm sorry, I don't got time for. I do not have time for mobs to take 47 years to kill. That is not fun to me in the slightest. Um, so ultimately, I'm really just doing this because I think it's a worthy enough game to be my Platinum 150. It'll be my Platinum 150, and it'll also get me to 500. Um,
Nice.
Nice.
so,
Nice.
yeah, it's a solid. I feel like it's a solid game to get me to that. So I was trying to be really, really careful and curating exactly what game would get me to that. So that's why I'm kind of pushing on it. And the fact that, I mean, I'm basically almost done with it. So as far as that goes, so I'm not mad at it being 150. And that crossover point for me. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's really all I've been concentrating on. I mean, I'm kind of like, it's kind of at the same time where I'm like, the game's pretty long, so I'm kind of like also ready for it to kind of be over because there's so many other games I want to play. So it's like, as much as I enjoyed it to a degree, um, with the many, many gripes I've had with it and a lot of the missing RPG elements and all those things, I feel like I'm just really ready to play something else. So, yeah, I haven't been playing anything else, but um, Viper playing Trails heard me want to get back to my part two run of Cold Still because I'm on part
Hmm.
two for Cold Still. So, and I found my save file. So, from when I updated my computer, so yeah, I need to return to that so I can get back through Cold Still, finish those up so I can get to Trails of Reverie, which was one of the big ones I was looking forward to. And then I have, of course, I have Trials in the Sky 1, 2, and 3, or whatever as well. I did decide to play those out of order on purpose, mainly just because um, when I looked at them, there's a lot of weird stuff with the order of the games, and it's
Yes.
like even at intervals when you play it correctly, there's still gonna be some characters you come across that like they're not gonna they like retro introduce them. So even if you play
Right.
it in the order, like you're gonna run into them, and then like later you're gonna find out about the character's past, just not then. So it's like I was like, you know what, forget it. I was like, I couldn't get into uh, Legend of Heroes at the time, so I was like, all right, forget it. I'm gonna just go ahead and go through Cold Steel, which has been great so far. Um, that is a hell of a setup for the first one. That the first one I will always tell people, I'm like, look, it's a slow burn, because everything about part one is really a setup, and then part two gets started, and you're just like on and cracking, like immediately. So it's definitely structured a lot like a almost like a TV show or something, except in this case, the first season is the setup. But yeah, like I said, it's all really been playing. I'm trying to think, like I think I get mixed up because like I do so much other stuff. So it's like I'm also trying to. I needed to beat Diablo before the season started. Still not sure if I'm gonna make it. I'm pretty close, and then I'm pretty close on Jedi Survivor as well. I'm also really close on Octopath Traveler 2. So like once I'm done with this 100%, like I'll have a couple games where in like quick succession I'll go from like I haven't beat a game in a while to 4 or 5 or 6
5 in a
games.
row. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's like look, I
you gotta
felt
finish them.
yeah, exactly. Like I felt some type of way for a minute, uh, where I was like, man, I ain't updated my like games beat in like a while. Then I finally beat 16, and like I said, Octopath is super super close at the end. It's really just clean up a couple side quests and the super boss, the the hidden boss, I should say. Um, but yeah, and then I mean I started Chained Echoes. It's just man, it's been an onslaught of games,
Dang.
and yeah, it's like I was just talking to Morgan about this the other day, how we're basically like having a plan out what we're gonna play, and it's even with me not everybody. It's so much that everybody's not all getting the same games, but it's like everybody's still got a number of games that they want regardless, you know. So it's like I this is the first year in a long time where I think I spent more money than I realized on gaming, and a large part of that is because I waited for some games to go on sale from last year, and I thought I bought them last year, but because so I basically what made me do this, and I'm just taking up time on purpose because I know Weeb's not here yet, but what made me do this is that somebody said Game Pass helped them save like $1,000, which I still believe this person is lying because most people don't spend $1,000 on gaming in a year anyway. Most people are super picky, they wait for Black Friday sales on at least 50% of what they pick up. They might spend a couple hundred, but they usually don't spend 1,000. Um, so I had went back and I went through it, and I went through my transaction history just on PlayStation, and uh, and then I added up, the other stuff, Tears of the Kingdom, stuff like that, other stuff I picked up, and it was like a just slightly over 1,000. It was like 1,025, but then that did not include other stuff. Like I didn't include it was just supposed to be games. What did you spend on games? Because that was the topic. But then I was like, on top of that, I spent like an extra like $80 in Call of Duty, uh, buying things, and then uh, $90 re-upping PlayStation Premium. So like, there's like an extra 250 that I'm not accounting for. So if we kind of total what I spent, it's been like pretty crazy, especially considering I'm not done, and we're about to get two versions. I need two versions of Starfield, and they both have to be the day one edition where you get the early access. So from what I remember, I think that's $100. I might be wrong, but I think that's $100 each. And then you still got Spider-Man 2, of course, Assassin's Creed Mirage, and it just keeps coming. And I'm just like, yo, I don't know what to do. Oh, and then Helldivers 2, whenever that gets a release date, we were all wanting to play that. So it's just like it's just been an insane year, man. And this is probably the first year I was telling somebody where I've considered it being potentially one of the years, because a lot of people say, "Oh man, this is the greatest year in gaming." A lot of people like to say that, but most of the people who say that weren't there in 1998. Which, when you look back on 1998, you start to understand why that was like still synonymous with the best year in gaming, but this year actually might actually do it, man. It might. If everything finishes coming out like it's supposed to, this might be the one time, or at least match up. I'm not sure anything could ever trump um, 1998, largely just because it just started too many franchises. Like you're talking about, Pokemon and you know Final Fantasy and like all these things were in their height or they started there. Gran Turismo started there. Metal Gear Solid. Like it's just the list is extensive. Half Life, even for PC, like Half Life was massive, and that was also that year. So it's just crazy. But yeah, man, that's what I've been up to. It's crazy. It's been a hell of a year for gaming. Uh, Man, it's just crazy trying to find the time to get through all of them. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay. Are you gonna play? What about Mega Man collection? Make that your next class.
I already bought it.
Huh?
I already
No,
bought
no,
it.
no. I know you bought it, but about getting the plat for it and make it that class.
I mean, I haven't even looked at the trophy, so I don't know what that consists of. I mean, I plan to beat all of them,
Okay.
but I don't. It depends on what the platinum is. I know a couple people said that they got the platinum for the first volume or something, and it wasn't too bad. But to be honest, the person that said that, I don't really trust that person. Half the time, I think they're lying about the games they be playing. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll see what it is for sure. But as easy as they made it sound, uh, it shouldn't be too hard. So yeah, I'll probably go for it when I do play it because
Okay,
I
gotcha.
did start it up and the nostalgia damn near got me, so I had to stop. But yeah, it's on the list for sure. It's
So
coming
you
up.
were getting way too much into it. Yeah, so like,
Yeah, yeah. I gotta stop. I gotta stop.
let me rate it back. Let me get back to reality
Yeah,
before I
let
lose
me get back to
myself.
these other games. I'm almost done with because you can't get away from some games too long, man. It just starts to mess you up. Like Morgan got me to go back and give what is that game? The one with the chick in the horror building. She's like a FBI agent or something. Not really, but I forget what she actually is. Control. She got me to go back and give Control another go. And I was working on that game, and I stopped, and I went back, and it had been like 2 months, and I was like, "Yo, what the heck was I doing?" Like, I felt so lost. Like, but I was like, I'm also not starting over because I remembered how much of the game I've played. So I was like, I'm gonna just have to figure it out as I go. So yeah, it's crazy. It's a good problem to have. I also bought
I
Forspoken
would
as well.
rather having that problem than talking about it on Twitter and not actually playing.
Absolute facts.
Okay. Viper, welcome back, man. Long
Yes,
vacation and starting the Trail franchise nonetheless. How are you,
yes.
man?
Fine. Slithering out of my corner just to enjoy game and talk with my bros. Um, so
Appreciate it.
the last time I was on this podcast, I was playing Persona 4 Golden. That was June-ish, early June, like June 2nd, 3rd, 4th. I got the platinum on the 14th. Um,
Congrats.
and I liked it. I like the the gameplay of 5 I like better, but I like the story on 4 much, much better. Um, but for both 4 and 5, they're pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, I played 3, Persona 3. That thing was kind of a drag. There wasn't the dungeon was like, okay, do these 15 floors, do these 20 floors, do these 17 floors, and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ. So, but at least with 4 Golden and Persona 5, they mixed it up. Sometimes they kicked you out of the dungeon because you had to go unlock something else before you could continue. So it broke up the monotony. After that, I was into Light Fairy Tale episodes 1 and 2, which is a fun little game. They're very quick. It's only like 10, 12 hours. Um, I'm waiting for episode 3, which I was told or which I researched was coming out this year, quarter 3. but I haven't heard anything on it yet. Um, I can't wait to get back into that so I can continue that story. But I like those games. They both each have their own platinum. Um, uh, I think there's going to be 5 chapters. They said, but episode 3 is going to be the third chapter. I then jumped into Final Fantasy 16 and I played it for about 6 7 hours. And I'm gonna let that game bake a little longer because I can't deal with the frame rates, and that's all I'm gonna say on that. Um,
So, what frame rate issue are you having? Cause during the gameplay, I had zero frame rate. It was
well,
during the cutscene and
yeah,
sometimes running. That's when the frame rate happens for me,
but
at least.
I can't do that. I can't. I like 60. I've got a CX10, and I've been doing 60 since day one when PlayStation was came out November 20th, November 2020.
Yeah, you're
And
playing on
I
the 60 mode.
yes, I have never done anything other than 60 frames per second since the PlayStation
Oh,
came out.
oh, you're like one of those. You're
Yeah.
allergic. Okay, I got you.
And I could go back to 30 and I could adjust to it. Obviously, when I go back to the Switch, I'm gonna have to adjust to that, and I'll get more on that in a second. But for right now, I will say once I start getting into the Switch more and my eyes just back to 30, I'll probably jump right back into 16 and do the 30, unless they come out with an update that will make the cutscenes 60 like the battling.
Yeah, me and
But
Morgan played on 30, so and it was completely
it,
stable. So
I do plan on playing Final Fantasy 16. I'm just gonna let it bake a little bit before I get to it. Normally, I don't play games day one. Um, I will say this: that Prince of Persia, whew, wait for that to come out. I can't wait to get to the one with the crown, the title
Oh,
and the crown and yeah.
are you talking about someone with what you call it, almost like cartoon look?
Yes, that
Cel
one. Yes.
shaded. Yeah, that one looks fantastic. I can't wait for it.
So, uh, and then I played Danganronpa, which we all know is a visual novel. Wicked ass story for both of them. Love the
Yeah,
stories. Uh, and I'm not gonna lie, I loved every minute of it from parts 1 and 2, except part 2 went a little bit overboard with repeating themselves.
okay.
And they'll be like, okay, so he killed him with a knife in the kitchen underneath the table. So now that you know that he killed him with a knife in the kitchen underneath the table, uh, we need to know about the knife underneath the table when he killed him in the kitchen. And I'm like, why did you just repeat that shit 3 times in a row? And I get it. When you're doing a murder mystery, you have to make sure people understand, you know, step one, step two, step three. Um, but I did platinum and finish it both. I just think part 2 went a little bit overboard with the repetitiveness of stuff explaining things. With that being said, I then went on vacation and I did not have any gaming whatsoever when I was on this boat because I went on an Alaska cruise and I had an epiphany that when I came back, I was going to start playing the Switch more and I was going to take the Switch with me whenever I go on vacation now. Because what happens is when I'm on vacation and my wife and my daughter are asleep, I'm usually up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I need to do something. I'm not going to sit there and twiddle my thumbs while they're asleep. So from this moment, I went and bought both Zelda games, Tears of the Kingdom and damn,
Breath of
what's
the
the name of
Wild.
that? Yeah, Breath of the Wild, as well as Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 3 because I already had two. And I am going to jump into those even if I'm not on vacation. So, but the main thing was I heard that Mario RPG was coming out in November,
it is.
and I went ahead and pre-ordered that. So now I have a small arsenal of games that I got on the Switch. So my PlayStation playing will kind of be spotty, especially now that I'm in the Legend of Heroes. Now let me get on this. Uh,
Oh,
I I looked up the research to figure out which ones, the order that you're supposed to play them in versus the order that they released, which we all know is different.
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
And I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna go by the when they were released. But then I didn't have any way of getting Trails in the Sky, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna just start with uh, the Cold Steel series. So I'm playing the Cold Steel series, and it's fucking in my brain. I couldn't do it. I was like, no, 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 no. I need to start over. So I went and researched the orders in the game you're supposed to play them, and they said Trail Sky first, then it's the Trails from Zero,
I was gonna say zero. Yeah.
and so forth, and so on and so forth. So I was like, okay, well, I don't have access to Trails with the sky into the sky, so let me try Trails from the Zero. Let me start from there. And then I ran across this little girl called Rin, and they had like this little like sneaky take about what happened in the past. And I'm like, all right, this shit is pissing me off. I need to know what she did and why she's like this badass murderous kid. So I was like, I need to get Trails to the Sky. I need to find a way to play Trails into the Sky, even though I don't have
Yeah,
a PSP.
this game you gotta play it from the beginning.
Right. So
Shout out to Kofi. He is the Lord and Savior. Welcome to this game. He always preach about it. But yeah, no, this have like 9, 10 installment,
yes.
and they all follow the same story. So you can't skip one and start with another one. But
So what I wound up doing was I was like, all right, I got to get my hands on these. So I went back. I cracked open my 10-year-old PC and decided to hit up my PPSSPP emulator and see if I could reacquire some old games that I used to have.
mm,
We're gonna go with that.
why not? Why not? Why not get them from Steam? Because
um,
so far I
I
know Steam have them complete, right,
yes.
NA?
Yeah, they
Oh,
do.
Including
but
the PSP version, right?
Yeah.
um, I don't think the third chapter have the English patch on the Steam.
No, no,
They're
I,
they're
I
all they're
think
all English on
Steam
Steam.
Steam have
Oh,
them
Yeah,
complete all in
you don't have to
English.
patch them or nothing.
Yeah,
They're just all
that's why.
English.
well,
And it's
I
gonna
already
be at your preferred 60 FPS.
well I could do that now. I got one. I got chapters 1 and 2 on at 60 frames on a PC right now using the PSP emulator. So that I don't have a problem with. My issue now is trying to get the third chapter, and the only one, the PSP version only has the Japanese. So I may play the third one on Steam. Considering I don't, I'm actually on my laptop. I've been all day trying to get the patch onto the third Trails in the Sky, and I've been running into a little bit of an issue. But now that hearing that from you guys, I think I'm just going to go ahead and play that one on Steam.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's where I'm at right now, game wise. So like I said, I started Trails of Cold Steel, and then I was like, all right, let me start from Trails from Zero, and now I'm like, okay, now I'm pissed. I need to do Trails into the Sky. So I am tonight. I will be getting started on Trails into the Sky, the first part. Also, I was a little pissed when Estelle and her partner came running in Trails from Zero to help out, and they was like, oh well, we're from the city from Trails in the Sky, and I was like, oh fuck, see, I
Yeah.
can't do this.
The
I
references.
can't I can't do that. I need to know everything, all of the lore. So that's where like I said, my PS5 playing will be a little bit spotty for the next, I would say, 3 months, because this is the series I'm going to play front to back all the way through. No other games is coming in between, because I'm into the Trails of Zero story, and I love the story, the detective work that these guys are doing in the story. And when I was playing Trails of Cold Steel, I liked the way the detective work they was doing. I feel like this is a story that I'm going to 100% enjoy throughout the whole entire series.
No, I agree. I agree.
I
The story is
I
immaculate.
I think after what I'm playing, I'm gonna start the Thread of Cold Steel, the first one. Cause yeah, yeah, go ahead. And
And thank,
also, I wanna get into
but
Danganronpa. I watched the anime. Are you gonna watch the anime? Cause the anime is legit epic. But the problem with the anime is it had the first season. It
uh
actually skipped the second season and went straight to the third season, which makes zero sense.
yeah, my daughter was upset because she wanted to watch the anime, and she told me that on Crunchyroll they had skipped the second season. I was like, What?
It's
That don't
not.
make any sense.
It's not Crunchyroll. Every single there is no second season. I think at
Oh,
least not so
there is
far I
none at
know.
all.
Not so far
There's
I
none.
know. They genuinely
Oh
went
wow,
from one to three. Yeah,
wow. Okay, well,
That is an
so
extremely weird choice.
beyond weird.
but other than that, that's where my gaming palette is has ended, and that's where I'm landed at this point. So, like I said, by tonight, I should be knee deep in Trails into the Sky. So,
Gotcha.
that,
By the way, make sure. How are you playing? Because I so far from what copy I heard, if you want to do everything 100%, it
uh-huh.
gets transported to part two. So you get,
Yes, yes, I saw that. I saw that when I boot because
but
I
in
test the
order to
game.
do so, you need to research everything. If you miss a single thing, you're screwed.
What
So
what
I
do you
mean,
mean? What do you mean by that?
what what I mean is, it's better to talk to Kofi about it because he is the one that played it the most. But so far I know is you're supposed to get everything 100%.
Oh, well, you know, I always do my research before I play the games
Yes,
anyway.
I
But what
missed
I
out on one newspaper and I need to start again over it,
damn, all
over
because
over it.
one
Yes,
newspaper. Hmm.
that's why. That's why I'm telling you so you know.
Are you talking about trying to
Because I know.
platinum it?
Yeah, because I started up Trails into the Sky, the second chapter, and it said, "Do you want to uh, bring over save data from the first game?" And I obviously I don't have from. I just was testing it to make sure that it was going to work on the emulator, and I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't know that." So now that I know that, I'm going to further do research even more to figure out, how I can make that save file transfer over.
Yeah, you shouldn't have too much trouble.
So,
And
yep.
I check your Twitter for a second. Weep, are you here?
He is.
Yes.
Hey, you're back. How are you, man? What you been playing?
I'm good. I've been playing. Well, of course, Final Fantasy 16. I mean, it's been a haul. So yeah, still haven't finished the main story, but as I've been told by you guys, I'm guess pretty close. Uh, so yeah, I'm gonna try going for the plat. So probably gonna replay it in the higher difficulty. And then call the wrap because yeah, like Nate said, there's so many games that have come out that I've started and I still have to finish. I've finished Diablo 4, I finished Resident Evil 4. I keep buying shit because I have a problem.
Yo, if
Like,
you guys are so addicted, share that money with me. I have no issue buying stuff for myself and take that addiction from you. Like, no problem.
yeah, I knew you were gonna say that. Um, Talk about trails. I recently bought Tokyo Xanadu EX because it was on sale, which is also a Falcom game.
I played that
So,
game. That's awesome.
well, that's all I need to hear. Thanks, Viper. Then that's probably going to be my next one. Um, yeah, it's insane this year. There's so much that has come out that I still have to play, and so much that is coming out. Like there's literally like, yeah, I don't know indeed if it's the best year in gaming, but it certainly feels like the busiest year in gaming. Like I never had a year, I think, where I really had like there's so many games that I really need to somehow play this year. As this year, it almost feels like work now.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
insane.
It's that you sound like us right now. It's just like you don't know where you're gonna find the time at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we joked about
Oh,
the hyperbolic time chamber. Uh, at one point, I was like,
exactly.
I just need that so I could just be in absolute, complete solitude. And they're like, look, I get it. I'll be 3 years older by the time I come out, but my backlog will no longer exist. I'll be a new man.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, that's what we need. Or regular time travel is fine with me too, as long as I have to keep the memories of finishing the game. I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it is absolutely insane. The point where I'm thinking like I have to be selective at some point. Like, but you know, I will keep on buying whatever I want because it's never going to stop. But yeah, I mean, well, on a positive note, it's a good time to be a gamer with so much stuff coming out, so many great games where you haven't have come out and keep on coming. Um, yeah, it's just a matter of finding the time. So I guess I have to quit my job to continue my hobby.
Speaking of which, Deca Police
Somehow,
on the screen. So I'm sure that's another one.
which one?
Deca Police.
Second place? Oh yeah, yeah.
And
I completely forgot about that one. Damn it, Nate, why did you have to
that
remind
was
me?
it's sneaking up on us very, very soon, apparently. So,
Yeah, and PlayStation with those sales, they have to stop that shit, man.
bro, they got
It's never ending.
yeah,
It
they
keeps
got they
going
got
and going and
sales
going.
on top of another sale at the same time.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I'm stupid enough to have like uh, put favorites on everything. So every time a game that I want is on sale, like yeah, I have to buy it. Same with Steam, Epic. Well, Epic has free games, but that's also like there are some games, free games that I still want to play. So my backlog just keeps on growing. I mean, I'm just glad that there's one company out there that's not really making any great games. At least that doesn't add to my backlog.
I dropped my phone. He made me laugh so hard. I
Oh,
dropped my phone. I was typing something and I dropped it. Oh shit.
Oh, man.
that's funny.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Omar, back to you.
I like that one. As for me, before I continue, shout out to C Fresh, shout out to Viper and Innate in chat. Yeah. PC weighted race it is, I guess. Okay, so I got the plat in 16. Um, I already what my thought on the game. All I will say is the Final Fantasy 16 mode is lackluster beyond belief, and it's boring and it's simple. At least for me, I didn't experience anything go level where I'm like, oh man, I'm so stressed. I should take a break now. Enemies just do a lot of damage. That's about it.
They do a lot of
They
damage
don't.
and they take a lot of hits.
Yeah, and they don't have new moves.
Yep.
So you're. I swear. I don't know about you in it, but I skip every single combat.
I'm doing the same thing right now. Yeah,
I
anything that I can
I
skip,
I
I'm skipping
am
it.
I am. I did every single side quest because I didn't know how to create the best weapon in the game.
Yeah, through the
I
blacksmith
didn't.
quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I needed to make sure that I have enough points to also get the Genji shield, Genji glove, which I did. Cause uh, what I hate is the Berserker ring. There is no second one. In the sense of you can't upgrade it.
Yeah, so you can't upgrade it.
It's stupid. Why can I upgrade every single ring in the game, but the ring that's the most important one, I can't upgrade it?
Yep.
They knew how overpowered it is, and they didn't want you to get more enjoyment out of it.
Agreed.
Okay, but yeah, 16 done. I was gonna play a game called The Case of Benedict Fox, which I heard so much about, but uh, the game didn't run. I think I downloaded the wrong one or something like that. It's missing a file, so after the podcast, I'm gonna see if I can download it. I started a game called Soldier, which it's a weird name to put to make your name, cause it's SOU instead of SOL. So Soldier, it's a Metrovania, but it's difficult. You take this is not easy. Uh, Enemies are telegraphed, their moves are, but they still hit like a truck. Boss fights are amazing. Boss fights are great. Why? Because the bosses have phases. Like after certain HP, they start doing new moves, which I always like. Um, the story is not that interesting, um, but I'm enjoying it so far. I downloaded a few other games. I also downloaded a shit ton of demos that I'm gonna play because most of them are time based. And yeah, I'm also gonna get um what call it the entire Trail series because I want to get into them. I always wanted to do so, but I didn't want to skip on anything because I knew there are PSP ones and not fully what you call it um, translated. But yeah, let's jump to the first topic, um, which is going to be I really don't know what to start with, so I'm gonna start small. Tencent acquired another studio. This time it's the studio behind Destruction All Stars. So, what's your thoughts on it? I shout out to Zuby. He put out, at least he did. I'm not sure if it's real or if it's true or not. He put out gaming publisher and developers market cap. And he said Tencent is sitting around. Give me what Tencent is. Oh no, I can't find Tencent. That Embracer Group. Never mind. But yeah, so Tencent acquired another studio. This with Microsoft almost, well, not almost, getting to be close to finish the deal with ABK. Do you think Pandora box is opened or are regulators gonna regulate? Cause it's connected because Tencent keeps buying stuff. They bought so many studios. They bought the studio behind, um, I think, I forgot which studios, but there are studios that got bought. The one that did Destruction All Stars, this would happen today. There's also the studio that did, what you call it, uh, that horror game on the PlayStation with time travel. I forgot what it's called. Beyond. No, no, no. I forgot what the name of it. Maybe if someone can remind me, it's the horror game where you need to choose between options. Um, it it okay. Innate is looking it up. I'm gonna continue. They also bought the studio behind Little Big Planet and Sackboy Adventure, which I love. Sackboy Adventure is a hidden gem. Get
You
it.
mean sumo
Play it.
digital?
Sorry?
You mean sumo?
Yeah, Sumo Digital. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Mm.
Thank you very much.
And
Um,
the team behind Back for Blood.
no, 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 no. This is a PlayStation exclusive. The game.
No, when you were asking, you said they were behind some horror game. The team
Yeah,
that they bought Turtle Rock. It says
they
on this
bought.
list.
I forgot if they bought them or what we call it, uh, Embracer Group that bought that other studio. Because they've been buying small studios.
Yeah, I mean, this is the list of stuff they were as far as 2021. The I don't even know how to pronounce that company's name, but the people that made Don't Starve, uh, the,
No, no.
they
This
purchased
one,
them. No, no, no.
no,
I'm
no,
going.
no.
I'm showing you the
Oh, okay.
list.
You're showing. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
showing me. Okay,
Spec Ops: The
gotcha.
Line Team, Jaeger Development, Sumo Digital, Stunlock Studios, Wake Up Interactive, Fat Shark Games, and Turtle Rock. So that was as of 2021. So
Okay, gotcha. So then Embracer Group is the one that bought the other studio, which the one that I'm talking about. The one that did the PlayStation horror game. It's an exclusive one. Okay. So yeah, what's going on with the industry? Clearly, the industry is changing, and especially one of the topic which with the inclusion of AI. Do you think AI is gonna take over jobs as well? I'm gonna start with you. Eve. What's your thoughts on what's going on with Tencent?
Well, you're really jumping through topics here,
Yeah, no,
but
no. The topic is a little bit together, but go ahead about Tencent now.
which studio did they recently acquire?
Sorry,
Oh,
repeat that.
you just said they bought another studio. Which studio did they buy?
Oh,
Lightspeed
they bought
Studio.
uh, they bought the studio behind Destruction All Stars. Lucid something.
Okay.
Or Lightspeed
Well,
Studios acquired Lucid. So, but I guess Lightspeed is under Tencent.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's been going around for a while, so it's. I mean, publishers buying studios that's something that's not necessarily new, but yeah, what's different this generation maybe the amount, but also the especially the console makers moves, especially Microsoft. Sony's done some as well of them trying to get all these studios under their umbrella, which yeah seems to be both a strategic move in terms of their own future plans or current plans, and probably reactionary in the sense that they see there's a sort of gold rush there and trying to acquire as many studios as possible. So some of these might be acquired simply to bolster their own studios or to ensure that they're not going to be bought by their competitor. Um, yeah, I mean that's the way it is. That's how what's happening right now. And yeah, you're jumping to AI isn't necessarily related to this, but um, yeah, it is a legitimate concern. As it's not just with gaming, it's with the movie industry as well. It is one of the reasons why they've been on strike right now. The writers and the and actors, because they are concerned, rightfully, that some of their jobs might become essentially obsolete because of AI. I mean, we know tools like ChatGPT can you can ask them to write a script for you, and they're concerned that they might just be hired to doctor Chat GPT or whatever tool AI tool written scripts and that's it, and of course get paid less. And there's like I think you share that Omar or I think Morgan maybe that IGN publish an article or a news bit that apparently some minor actors, background actors, were asked to sign away their likeness, that they could just use them uh, as AI generated background characters in perpetuity, which is absolutely insane. So it's not surprising that they're on strike, and it's also not surprising that uh, game developers and the people in the industry are concerned about this because, yeah, I mean, if you can use AI to uh, replace jobs in clearly not in quite an inferior way, though I do say as somebody who also works with developers, I do know that AI can't fully replace it because you can't ask like ChatGPT to code something or write code for something, but it's gonna be garbage. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
you
garbage.
have to know how to interpret it, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So exactly. So you have to you can do something very simple that pretty much anybody can do that you can ask a very junior developer to do. But if you really want to make something functional, you definitely still need a developer for that. And of course, you broach on a very broad topic, Omar, because AI is also not just you know for replacing people, but also the whole thing with games being AI generated or have AI generated content, which is also, I mean, AI can be used as a tool, but there are concerns there as well, of course, because yeah, simply creativity that's coming from an AI is never going to be on the same level as that coming from real people because they don't really have anything like real life experience, etc., to fall back on, and they're just regurgitating whatever they've been fed, whatever they've learned. And there's the concerns with copyright, like is it fair? Then AI can just use whatever, like basically recycle, in this case, other games or anything it can find, and just produce something that's essentially just a Picasso of whatever they've been fed. And there are some movements, I think, also in the EU, where they are forcing these AI companies to essentially disclose, what's the source, right? Well, what did you use to train your AI? And some of the, I think even OpenAI is threatened to leave Europe because of that, because they don't want to be subjected to that, because they know that they're going to be subjected to lawsuits by everybody and their mother if they actually have to disclose what they use to train it, which basically means basically whatever's on the internet, right? Um, so yeah, but that's a very broad topic, so I don't know necessarily
The
what you
reason
want to.
the reason why I talked about it because there is almost like something happening in Hollywood. I forgot to put Hollywood
Yeah,
or somewhere
that's what he
else.
was talking to you about just now.
Yeah, I know he mentioned it. That's why I mentioned it myself.
Mhm.
Because I really believe uh, that gonna uh, come to that's gonna happen with developers as well. Which
Well,
I think
it's it's already happening in that sense. It is already a concern, and there is um and it's sort of twofold. One way, say that people are looking at like this is inevitable, like you said, Pandora's box. Like we've opened it, we cannot close it again. So this might be a next watershed moment or whatever you want to call it, next sort of revolution in the sense that yeah, you can no longer go back, and some jobs may become obsolete because of that. On the other hand, there's also you know rightful concerns there that we do need to be careful here, and regulate that, especially with sort of copyright, because AI is trained by some things like you can argue that essentially they're violating copyright basically by using an AI because it's not something that uses it doesn't create anything original, and yeah, I mean there's lots of people, especially in Hollywood right now, that are fighting for it, and I say I definitely support that because you've seen like you literally see what these executives are essentially trying to make them sign away, like they want to make them like they basically want to pay them next to nothing and then just have AI, uh, basically run with whatever with the work or have them basically correct whatever AI regurgitates, uh, and not really, and then still make millions of dollars in bonuses or whatever, and that's kind of like the reason why this is sort of exploding. And it's not the first time. And unfortunately, the last time this happened when there was a writer strike, we got reality TV because they did that doesn't require any writing really, which ironically means that Trump got elected because of the last writer strike. If you actually want to go there, um, but yeah, I mean it has. This is definitely sort of a watershed moment. So it's definitely something that, um, yeah, you have to pay attention there. You have to take action there. Um, you know, if you're an actor and probably, yeah, probably developers is that they aren't really unionized like that, so they can't really say we're going to go and strike and protect their own rights. But yeah, we as gamers also have to be concerned there because it's not just about developer jobs, but also like they're already doing it, right? They're already trying to use AI for making games or generating content there. Same with with the crypto and fuck, I forgot what they're called again. Uh, the stupid board ape shit. Yeah, that they're gonna try to adopt whatever comes along, and then one way as a like company in the in the IT in tech industry, you do have to uh, be careful not to run behind, because if you're not paying attention, then you might become obsolete yourself. But on the other hand, they are also too eager to adopt whatever they can to either monetize that or to cut costs or whatever. And yeah, personally, like I'm not like look, as a tool, sure, it's gonna can be useful, but right now I don't really see it adding the value yet, and it also is quite concerning that like I don't want to see these soulless creations of that somebody basically making a game with AI that has like I love narrative driven games, so for me that would be absolutely ridiculous that yeah like I can already you can tell if a game is created by an AI and it's going to be an absolute you know monstrosity of a narrative, so I would not welcome that personally.
Gotcha. Um, and Viper, what's your thought?
So on the first question, the consolidation with Tencent, um, I look, as long as they plan on doing something with the property that they bought, I have no issues with consolidation. I don't agree completely with consolidation because uh that stifles creativity to me, because you'll get stuck in a loophole of making shit that you don't want to make. Whereas if you're off on your own, you can go, okay, I want to make a first person shooter here, I want to make an RPG here, you can do whatever you want. Um, my whole ordeal is when a company gets acquired, and it's not just in the gaming industry. This is also what has happened to, I don't know, I'm gonna go into this. My company, I work for a company called Diversified. We used to be called Technical Innovation, based out of Georgia. And the moment we got acquired, they said merged. Bullshit. We got acquired because we had to change our name. Um, the moment we got acquired by a bigger company called Diversified that was headquartered out of New Jersey, a lot of shit started going downhill. Some people didn't want to stay in the company no longer. They wanted to, leave the company. Some of our higher, skilled people left the company. Um, and now I believe our company is a little bit of a shell of itself, where we used to be on point. Boom, boom, boom. Something come down the pipe. All right. You handle this, you handle this. We get now shit gets lost. We can't find anything, and the same thing happens in the gaming industry where you used to have a set of rules that you followed for your company to get stuff done. Then you get acquired by somebody else. Your top personnel leave, some of them, and things goes to shit. Um, as long as that company stays on board and continue what they were doing from the get go, if the upper management that just purchased them will allow it, consolidation can be okay. But the problem with consolidation is not everybody wants to be bought. So, um, as long as the the property is being used functionally and professionally, I'm all good with it. As for the AI, now I find it crazy that people you can go, sign up with somebody that can pay you like the pennies on the first time that they see you, and then use your likeness in a concert or as a hologram, and they never have to pay you anything thereafter. I find that horrible. Um, so I don't know what they're doing with this AI stuff, but you best believe if it's something I don't like, I more than likely won't be supporting it. Now, who's to say that you won't be secretly supporting? Like, say for example, you go to a concert that, let's say, Britney Spears is in, and she's using holograms of people that get cheated out of their money. I don't know. You got to do your research on that. But then again, everybody has evil in their background. So
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Um, Annette? Okay. As for me, look, I'm not a fan of it. We've said something very interesting. He said that studios buying studios or publisher buying this and that is have always been a thing. Yes, I agree, but I don't know if it's because of social media, but it really seems that it's more happening now more than ever. Correct me if I'm wrong. We Do you know if it's happening now more than ever?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, you would have to literally check, the rate of which studios are bought. Like the thing is, it will at this point, yes, it's happening more than ever because we have actually the game, the console manufacturers, Microsoft and PlayStation or Sony, buying studios because that changes things. But like the rate of, for example, which Tencent is buying studios, I don't see that as anything out of the ordinary. Like yeah, don't forget like how many studios has EA bought, right? I mean, they've bought a shit ton of studios and also closed down a shit ton of studios. So it's not anything new in that sense, but. It may very well be that right now there is a kind of boom in that sense or kind of consolidation rush going on. And yes, that's certainly exacerbated by the fact that Microsoft and Sony are buying studios, and in case of Microsoft actually buying entire publishers. I mean, yes, that's different because that didn't happen before. Um, and certainly social media makes things more visible in that sense like I don't think we were aware of that when back in the day when EA bought BioWare or whatever, right? I mean that's some yeah, that certainly changed your perception. So I think you're right in the sense that yeah, there is a sort of rush at this moment, but on the other hand, like the entire sort of cadence of buying studios, that's always been a thing. That in a sense is not anything new.
Gotcha. Annette, you here? Okay. Um, Talking about PlayStation, Naughty Dog. Apparently, not apparently. So Naughty Dog co-president. No, no, no. Evan Wells. I don't know what his position is, but Evan Wells retired, and we get that information, while at the same time we just got the information that a lot of us do remaster at work, apparently.
Oh boy.
My question is, what's happening with Naughty Dog? Retirement is one thing, but to remaster a game that is from this generation, that makes zero sense. No, no, no.
Oh,
That
oh,
one was came up from last generation. My bad. But still,
Omar.
it's not that old yet. Yeah, go
Oh, oh,
ahead,
you
Viper.
you didn't know all the hype of what people are buying right now. You know
What do
what's
you mean?
the most popular types of games people are buying right now are remakes and remasters. If as long as these
But
motherfuckers keep pouring money
but
into buying these remakes and remasters, they're going to continue to do it.
but most of the games that are being made are games that we have been asking for
No, no,
years.
no, 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 no. They also doing recent games too. They're not just remastering old games; they're remastering new ones too. And people yuck it up and buy it. They're remastering both old and new. Now I can see older ones, older titles. Yes.
Can you remember? Remind me what newer title being remastered? I
Uh,
don't
if
recall
if you give
any.
me a if you give me a second, I can come up with three.
Go ahead.
But but the whole issue is people are buying remakes and remasters. They think it's the hot thing right now. So as long as people are willing to put their money in it, as long as people are willing to say, yeah, I'll get that right now. They're not going to focus on their major projects. They're going to focus on the quick buck before they go back to the major project, which delays the major project because they're focusing on the quick buck.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong.
So yeah, Nate, you're back. What your thoughts on this whole topic beforehand, and then go back to this topic? Because I
Yeah,
really
I
want
mean
your thoughts on that
obviously,
too.
yeah. I mean it's definitely happening more now than ever in the last couple of years. I mean it's very obvious. I mean you went from little to none of it happening, and very rarely, to you know 30 plus studios slash and or publishers being bought in the course of 2 to 3 years. So yeah, I mean it's happening. It's happening rapid as far as business is concerned. Between Microsoft, snatching up 20 plus studios at this point, on top of Embracer, and on top of Tencent, and then PlayStation here and there very slightly, with a few acquisitions, much smaller, and some other companies here and there occasionally. But yeah, I mean it's definitely obviously increased pretty rapidly. Thankfully, at the same time, while some of these studios have been acquired, um, you've got a lot of new ones opening up. So, it's kind of a back and forth battle.
Yeah, that's a good one to mention. While studios are being acquired, there are new ones that are opening up.
Yeah, I mean
We're
you've got a
seeing,
lot of veterans leaving these
yeah,
major spots, and they've got the team. When you've got a team of really top end veterans and a decent amount of funding, they can do quite a bit. So you're getting a lot of that popping up. Recently we were talking in chat about the budget for just Sea of Stars was apparently pretty crazy.
how much?
I don't know the exact amount, but somebody was saying that like 1.5% of their budget is typical for indies. So they were like, they're not really indie in that particular sense, because apparently their budget is crazy, which is weird to me. Like, I'm assuming we'll see it when we play the game a little bit more, but I guess the whole idea was the amount of people working on it for the amount of time that they have. So several years, they've employed a consistent 25 plus like developers or something, plus outside assistants or something. So apparently their budget's pretty nice. I don't know if we'll ever get the exact, but obviously they had another injection of money regardless, because after Xbox fans begging profusely for it. Most likely Sarah Bond or whatever, or at least she's the one they allowed to announce it. They went and paid them that Game Pass bag on top of that. So, yeah, um, yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of stuff going on. But again, that was a new set of people, who hadn't really done anything crazy, and then all of a sudden that game's coming up and on the come up. Um, and you just like you said, there's been a ton of people that have left the bigger studios from EA, Activision, like all over the place, and they're getting together with people they've worked with over time, people they know they'll work well with together, and starting their own stuff. And whether it's a Kickstarter or whatever, that's another thing. Kickstarter projects going crazy. Like honestly, it's a weird spot, right? Because obviously you have this balance where you've got the AAA teams and stuff like that, but it's kind of what we said was going to be an issue um, when they first started the consolidation. You've got to be able to keep the talent, right? And for some of these people, it's not money, right? And this is the thing that I said for a long time for people who thinking about their typical 9 to 5 jobs. A lot of these developers have made plenty of money. They own their own houses already. They have money's not the issue for them anymore. It's more so what do I want to do with my passion. So it's like, hey, look, I have worked with that Activision or Blizzard for years and years and years. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of feeding World of Warcraft. I'm tired of feeding, the big guy in the room, the corporation, and they go and make their own games and they pop off and they create some really dope stuff. So, um, while the consolidation is a major concern, it's at least balancing out, I think, so far, with some of these things, with these newer studios and some of these indie devs really stepping up and doing some amazing level stuff, especially with, like we talked about with Kana. Kana was perfect for me. I was like, if this is, what a studio of their size is capable of, and everybody else can kind of step up to this level, like I'm good with games like that. I love that. Where every indie game isn't just a pixelated thing, which is fine. If that's the art direction you want to go with, but to see that an indie level studio can create something like Kana, I think is the new standard for me personally. When you're in that in between space. You're indie, but you can almost fill AAA up. To me, that's like perfect. It keeps the budget down while giving us an incredibly high quality game. Obviously, we had some issues with that game. Hotly debated the dodge window and some other stuff which
Oh,
they patched later.
don't remind me, dude.
Yeah, so yeah, we ran into some stuff, but again, it
But the
was a great game.
story was good, and
Yeah,
the
the story
combat
was
was
good.
good, and
Yeah,
even hard mode added something. Like
exactly.
hard mode, hard mode wasn't just hard mode for the sake of being hard mode. Hard mode made you play the game actually different.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, quite different, in fact. Um, and something Morgan did say in the chat about the remake thing, like she said, if they remaster or remake it in the way that they did, like Ghost of Tsushima and all that, like the $10 upgrade, then she'd be fine with that. And I'd agree. I'd be fine with that.
I think they're gonna sell it for 70. Trust me.
We'll see. I mean, I know that's what a lot of people are saying in the streets, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, the consolidation is a concern, and at the same time, we just kind of got to see where it's gonna go. It's majorly a concern just because it depends on who's in control of these IPs, and that's the problem, right? What are they gonna do with it? How are they potentially going to increase or potentially decrease the fan base depending on what they do and their choices with it? Um, you know, yeah, certain people out here just don't care either way. They're just kind of on a scorched earth mode. They just want to watch the industry burn, and they don't really care what the hell happens to the gaming industry. They're not really gamers, so fuck those people. In the most disrespectful way possible. I can't stand none of them at all. There are quite a few of them on Twitter. That have no idea what the hell they're talking about. and if it's up to these people, that they're gonna ruin the hobby that we love so much. So uh, yeah, for the rest of us, man, I don't know. Like I said, so far we're okay, but I think it'll be very telling between the rest of this generation and the start of the next one, where everything's really kind of going. Uh, we're gonna see who else potentially gets acquired, partnerships, things like that. Really, the major third party publishers. I think if everybody else remains where they are, I'd be fine with that, and I think we'll be okay. I think that's the biggest key, is that the third party publishers can't really get acquired. And I think, at least as far as PlayStation, their biggest issue right now is there are just certain uh, key companies they can't allow to be acquired underneath them. Like, you can't get the rug pulled out from under you again. Uh,
But
and
what is PlayStation supposed to do then? Just
I
stop
mean, they've
developing
gotta
marketplace.
they gotta secure those assets, either via partnership or acquisition. So I mean, it's
But
not like they can't, but certain people. What I mean by that is, obviously, certain companies have said that they don't want to be acquired. Um, but we've also heard that
and
before.
other companies are doing way too good to be acquired.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's where I said, like, thankfully, what's left, they're all doing really really well, right, and shouldn't be acquired. But at the same time, some of these companies are also too expensive, thankfully, for what they actually produce. Like, they're not really worth the cost. Because I think there was an article that came out not too long ago talking about EA wanting to potentially look to sell. And it's like, again,
They're just open for the buyout.
yeah,
They don't.
but they're too big, right? Even though we don't play the majority of their stuff, the things that make them the money that they do, the Maddens, and so on and so forth, and the FIFAs. Uh, the problem is they're just too big. That's too big of a push, right? Like,
I
FIFA,
mean,
FIFA alone is one of the most dangerous franchises on the planet. If someone secured that exclusively, that would be, again, wouldn't matter to me now. I don't play it, but there are people who exclusively just buy a PlayStation just to play that, or just to play, and COD is one of those franchises, which is, again, why this was such a hotly debated topic about the consolidation, or a platform holder, gaining control of Call of Duty, which, like I said, I think was poorly regulated, and poorly stated during the FTC hearing
dude,
and whatnot. And most of these people have no idea of the significance, nor do I honestly think they really care, because, like Viper said, U.S. politics, um, they are shitty, and somebody's palms got greased somewhere. I'm sure there's a whole tub of that shit somewhere.
oh
uh
yeah, like
yeah.
they getting big money from it.
Oh yeah, there's some vacation house, some offshore account, some shell corporation. Like, trust me, like, the way that our politics, like, we've explained a ton of time, U.S. politics is one of the dirtiest, most underhanded bullshit ass things on the planet. These politicians, if you think corporations don't give a shit about you, politicians give even less of a shit. But their whole job is to portray that they do give a shit, when we know they really don't. Um, so yeah, it's a whole thing. But I'm getting lost in it. But you know what I mean. You get the point. Um, yeah, I don't know. We'll see where it goes, man. Like I said, we could balance it all out if it stays from here. It's just it's a matter of who, because there's nothing but a few key strategic assets left, is the problem, right? And it's like, certain ones PlayStation just literally can't afford to lose, and one of them is definitely CD Projekt Red. Um, so CD Projekt Red needs to either remain independent, as they said they would, or they need to be acquired by PlayStation. Like, mainly just because all the other assets, as it pertains to a lot of Western development, has already been acquired by Xbox. So, with the exception of, like, Larian Studios, who doing Baldur's Gate, which thankfully they are extremely aggressive in maintaining being independent, so I'm not really sweating that. But yeah, that just those are just a few key assets they can't let go. I do believe PlayStation also needs to definitely focus on either building a new studio, or working heavily to ensure their partners are on board with them, um, for their Japanese development and things of that nature. PlayStation just is kind of all over the place right now, and they need to maintain that identity of these great single player story driven games that no one else in the industry really kind of contends with. Um, like we even mentioned, us all playing the new Star Wars game, Survivor, is like the first time we really felt like that another single player game kind of had that PlayStation touch. So
Yep,
people are learning. They're not quite there, but it's very obvious that people are
either
starting to get
they're
there.
learning or PlayStation helps them.
I mean, potentially, right? But I mean, for the most part, I mean, we know over time, like developers are learning or devs are, leaving PlayStation after some time, and they're leaving with those skills, right? They're able to,
Mm-hmm.
as LeBron James said, I'm taking my skills to South Beach. Eventually those skills leave, and they go somewhere else. Everybody isn't, so lucky like Robert. He's gotten to go from Santa Monica, to Naughty Dog, and then to Bend. So he's kind of stayed
Mm-hmm.
in the PlayStation family. um, but some people, they work on something like a God of War, and then they head off to EA or something. They're gonna take those talents. Just like
Yep,
the head for God of War or whatever. Went over to Netflix or whatever.
yep.
Netflix put out the bag, and they said, "Hey, look, we're real serious about this, and we want you." So yeah, um, there's a lot of weird moves going on, a lot of new industry players, a lot, just a lot happening. But like I said, regardless of all the money that's moving and stuff, like I said, it just don't. I need people to just really understand the importance of a healthy third party market. That's really the key more than anything else. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, Morgan did state she thinks it's a smart thing for PlayStation to invest in these publishers like they have with From Software, and I agree. Yeah, I mean they played that card well with Bloodborne and some other stuff like that. I think PlayStation's approach is right as long as these companies just don't get fully bought out. Like I said, thankfully, a lot of the companies that are left are either very adamant about staying exclusive or not exclusive, but independent, or they have other things preventing them from being bought out. But the partnerships, I think, will play a key role, just as well. I mean, look at the whole partnership going on now with Sega and Microsoft for whatever reason. Um, but yeah, it's real quick to your next thing because I gotta grab coffee real quick here in a minute. Um, the AI thing again, it's just as concerning as anything else. I mean, you got to be careful with anything. I don't think it's going to take off and rocket to the stars real soon, but they're always going to attempt to try and utilize it. And I think kind of like what we've said for the next couple of years at least, it'll just be kind of a tool, to kind of help you assist. Hey, I don't want to, maybe it'll learn and kind of help you move a move a character. Hey, make this character do a backflip, and maybe after you've programmed it, your in-house AI or something will now learn how that's done and how you typically want it animated, so it can maybe help animators animate faster or help you create certain assets faster. Like things of that nature. I think like we've said, it's more of a tool because regardless, it can't really do anything you didn't teach it, in the first place. So yeah, I think that's where we're at with that. I think it's much more of a dangerous thing as far as scripts go and things of that nature. Um, but yeah, I don't really know. People have talked about that. The soul, the heart and soul of something, and also whether or not the problem with AI being they also don't create original works. Like me writing my book right now, I'm creating original ideas and stuff. I'm being influenced by the things that I read or the games that I play, but I'm also creating my own ideas, like 100%. So yeah, that's a weird one. But yeah, the thing, and I actually was the one that shared it, what we was talking about, but I was talking about it to Morgan because we watched Black Mirror, and on Black Mirror they basically like you sign up for Netflix, and they basically were like, hey, we can use your likeness in anything, and it was in the NDA, and they were like, oh, you didn't read it? It's on page
Hmm.
53 or whatever, and line 647, and basically they used her phone and all this stuff to basically gather the data on her life, and then they recreated a show that was about her life basically, and it would just like the AI would basically generate everyone she interacted with, her whole life, and then basically make her character played by Selma Hayek in the show, and pretty much they embellished it a little bit to make it more entertaining, and then basically they were just basically stealing this person's daily life and making it a TV show. And they were assholes about it. And it's like that's again the danger. Black Mirror is very good at showing the dangers of fucking around and finding out. And that's what that was. So yeah, I mean it's a very real concern right now. I'm sure all the writers and all the people on strike right now have seen that episode, and it is a very real potential threat. Maybe not at the moment, but definitely in the future. And you kind of want to nip it in the butt early before these companies get carried away, because we've all heard some of the things corporation leaders and CEOs and stuff have said. And like I told people, stop thinking these executives are your friends. These people are fucking assholes, and they will step on you the moment you allow them to. And they do not care about anyone else but themselves. It's all about the bottom line, and it's not about making money. It's about making all the money, and they don't really care how they get to do it. Yep.
Gotcha. And we have a newcomer. He came from underground or something. The Wreck, man, how are you? What you been
I'm
and what your
always
thoughts on
under,
topic?
I'm always underground, like I've always been. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, man? How y'all doing, man? How y'all doing, man? It's been a while. It's been a while, but man. Well, I got back on playing Final Fantasy 16. I've been playing that lately. Um, that's all of that. That's really what I've been playing. I know I've been missing a lot of stuff. I've been just busy with a lot of things, man. But I've been enjoying Final Fantasy 16 though. I'm really enjoying it. Uh, and let's see what else. I got some. I got Dead Island 2. I don't know if I told y'all about that, but yeah. I've really been busy though. I really haven't been playing anything else besides Dead Island 2 and Final Fantasy 16. But that's about it though, man. Yeah. So, so what's going on, with y'all, man?
So, what your thoughts on the topic at hand? With what you call it, Naughty Dog leaving, Evan Wells leaving, and also the rumored remaster of Last of Us 2.
Hmm. Wait, Naughty Dog is leaving?
Evan Wells is leaving. He is, I think, co-founder. I'm not sure if he is a co-founder or not, but he is in a big position in Naughty Dog. He's leaving. He's retiring.
Oh, okay. Well, he just somebody that works at PlayStation. I mean, I got nothing to tell about that. It's just a person. I mean, some people come and go. Some people find better jobs in other places. I mean, if the guy pays right, you gonna go. But that's it, man. That's about it, man. I don't know much about what's going on.
Okay, what about Last of Us 2 remaster?
Uh, Well, since I already own the game already, um, I mean, they should have been done that though. It should have been put that on there. It came out the same year. Um, but other than that, I'm most likely gonna pick it up for PS5, but for $10. Probably gonna put a price of $10 to upgrade. That's what I'm thinking. Because the man, what else he could do to it? I mean, he could do pretty much, but um, those of us that already own the game already, that's already beat it. I mean, oh well, except for factions.
They might add additional content to justify the price tag.
Yeah, they might. Yeah, I mean,
Would you buy it if it was for 70?
nope, nope. I sure wouldn't buy it for 70.
Would
Nope.
you buy it if it was for 10?
Yep, I sure
Yeah,
would.
yeah.
I mean, it'll be a logical thing to do. I
It's
mean,
not about the price tag, right? It's about the
no,
principle.
yeah, they already own the game already. You waited too long. If you're gonna put it $70, you waited too long. I mean, this should have been
But
$10.
let me ask you this then: if it's 70 and it comes with faction, would you buy it?
Nope, I sure wouldn't. I sure wouldn't, man. It's not. It's,
So, hey, direct. The better question would be if if Factions 2 is coming out and it's its whole own entire game. But they threw in for an extra $10 the Last of Us 2 remaster. Would you buy it then?
nah, I'll wait. I'll wait. I'll wait. Even though it's factions, I didn't get into the factions for the first one.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, so
I would consider let's say Barry or Persona. I think they may actually because they're into factions. They may
yeah,
actually, if Factions 2 came with an extra $10, you can get The Last of Us 2 remaster. They would probably do that. Okay,
yeah,
But
that's good.
with don't go
yeah.
far. Barry already said
Yes,
Yeah,
he's
he
buying the
buying
Last of Us
big.
2 remastered. So
correct.
He buying well. I would not. Those dudes will buy it. They will, but I mean, I just being smart with it. I was like, nah, I'll wait. But yeah. So, what other topics y'all already covered?
Oh, but before we move
um,
on, Omar,
go ahead,
so
Wyman.
you are correct. A lot of the remakes are PS3 or older. Nothing from the PS4 has been remade. But with that being said, to me, I do consider definitive editions sort of a remaster. Um, so
Yeah,
when they come out with Death Stranding director's cut, and when they come out with Ghost of Tsushima director's cut, those are kind of remaster. If they add in 60 frames per second, all this stuff, that's kind of a remaster. Um, the thing is, PlayStation's gonna push the envelope and they will try to remake or remaster later and later and later games to see where the breaking point is for a customer to say, no, that's too soon. I already got that. So
yeah,
this is the start of that. They're trying to see if they can get away with it.
But
Technically,
with
like a Dragon Ishin is a PS4 game. It was remade for PS5.
remade or remastered,
No, remade.
What
what
was the
was
name of that
that?
game?
Like a
yeah.
Dragon Ishin.
Like a drag. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh wait, but that game was never released to the West, right?
That was on PS2 though.
True.
That was on PS2. I
No,
understand that.
no, no. That was on PS4.
But it was never released to the West, so there is an excuse.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was on PS2 though, right? Because the original
No,
version was on
PS4.
PS2.
No. The original Yakuza. So the games that were released as Yakuza in the West were originally on PS2, but Like a Dragon Ishin was a spin-off that was released in Japan only for PS4. So never made it to the West, and once they've released it to the West, they remade it in Unreal Engine for the PS5.
Huh. Yeah, okay. I thought that thing was on PS2 because that's the original version somewhere. I remember seeing a little cop gameplay of that. Maybe I'm gonna be tripping.
Probably, man. Uh, but yeah, look, Omar, regarding the remaster, like I think this is just the same thing like they've done with the other titles they have, like with Ghost of Tsushima, with Death Stranding. It's just a director's cut, whatever you want to call it. They're reselling it, and probably they will have an upgrade path available for those who own the PS4
Oh,
version.
okay, so that was on PS3 and PS4. Okay, I don't know. I've seen it somewhere.
Uh, Ishin,
It's a Ishin. It was it was a PS3 and PS4.
oh yeah, you're right. Remember that it was sort of a launch title, yeah, yeah. So that makes sense.
That's why I must have thought it was on PS2, but I was like, man, I know I've seen it somewhere. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But yeah, well, that was a whole total.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm, um, Nate, what's your thoughts on what's happening with Naughty Dog? Okay. Weep.
What else is happening
So
aside from the
basically,
remaster?
they're more focusing on remake and remaster than putting out new games.
Well, look, the thing is like I think the remake of The Last of Us Part One is sort of like if you're to believe the story, basically another studio started that and they sort of took over. So it was something that was happening anyway, and they just rolled with it. And this remaster seems to be just the oh, just the director's cut version, like with other games. Uh, just coming, just The Last of Us Part Two version of that. So I don't know if we can call that more focus on remakes and remasters. I mean, they have been focused on factions. They just seems to be in some sort of difficulty, and yeah, they have confirmed they're working on a new title. So I don't think I really see a problem there. I think um, yeah, you're trying to lash onto something that might not be there. I mean, like I said,
Interesting. Okay.
well, I mean, The Last of Us Part Two, whatever it is, I think it's just a patch for PS5 was due for a long time, and so that should have happened a while ago. I don't think that's going to take away enough resources from them to that they could use working on the current game, or the factions, or Last of Us Part Three. If that's even in any state of development at the moment. So I'm not really worried because it's Naughty Dog. Come on.
Well,
Hmm. Okay.
while I do agree that it's not, they're not pulling away enough people to what you would say affect the project that they're working on now for a just a patch. That is people that could be helping with the new project, whether you like it or not. I don't care
Yeah,
if
but
it's just three. I don't care if it's just
yeah,
three people.
here's the thing, like it's not always like it's not always the case that you can just open a can of developers and say, I will just I will just add them to the project, and that will make it go faster. Like if you have too many developers basically doing like it's also like they're not every developer is interchangeable, like they can do everything, so they have specialists for every
Right.
part of development. It's a project, it has a process, you can do everything at once. Some
Oh,
things have to wait for other things, and someone's adding more people to it doesn't mean that will go faster. They will
no,
more
no,
than likely get in each other's way.
but hear me out. Let's say, for example, you got your best person that knows how to do frame rates, leaving the major project and working on a remaster just so they can get the frame
Wait,
rates up. Because
what?
he hold on, wait. I'm not done yet. Let's because
Not
I've
you,
I've,
but
I've
continue, continue.
I've I've worked in teams before where there's six of us and every one of us, has a specialty in what we do. And what winds up happening is somebody will take the expert of one topic and move them to something else. And now the other five people have to try to make up for that expertise that they lost. What if they took
Sure.
their best frame rates person and stuck them
Yeah.
on this remaster, and
but
now
but
it's going to
but
take the project
Viper,
just a little bit longer because these other five are trying to make up for it.
Viper, how likely do you think it is that they're gonna pull their best guy from their new next AAA flagship title to doing a remaster?
Strange,
I find it
stranger things
very
have happened in
well.
business.
Not only, not
Strange
only, not
things have
only
happened.
that, not only that. PlayStation have been moving way differently now lately. When have PlayStation acted like this? When had Naughty Dog acted like this with Faction? Faction, we should have seen something from Faction. If it delayed, they should have come out and explain why. They shouldn't be.
Have they acted like this? Well, basically with The Last of Us Part Two. I mean, that game took a shit ton of time to develop, and we've got like, uh, if you look back
But
on
did
it,
they
we
not
have like a very
explain why?
limited amount of marketing, or at least in terms of showing gameplay and trailers and stuff like that. So it's not untypical of Naughty Dog to do. The thing is, though, the reason why everybody is putting this on their magnifying glass is that yeah, it was supposed to come out together with Last of Us Part Two, and yeah, look, we've given them leeway. Like I said, yeah, it's so ambitious, blah blah blah. So we're gonna take more time, and now it just seems like taking forever. And while it's typical for Naughty Dog to take a shit ton of time to develop a game, like I don't know, like 6 years or something is normal for them. But yeah, for a multiplayer game, was supposed to be part of the original The Last of Us Part Two. Yeah, that feels like something is going on there, and maybe it is. Maybe this sort of in development hell. Maybe they grew too ambitious, and it either needs to be scrapped or scaled back or whatever. You know, like I'm not gonna like. I know Naughty Dog is like, sort of like the golden goose, right? They just throw out quality. Title after quality title, but they can they could like the same as like with CDPR, right? I mean, they threw out The Witcher 3, and that game, was an incredible success, incredibly well received by critics, by fans, whatever. And they got overly confident and they dropped Cyberpunk. At least management was overly confident. Now I don't think that Naughty Dog is gonna run that risk with their titles, but like they're not gonna drop Factions 2 and it's gonna be broken as fuck. That's never gonna happen. But it's possible that they're because despite the fact that they have experience in multiplayer with Factions and with the Uncharted multiplayer, they're predominantly a single player narrative driven game developer, and they might try to leverage that. Like I said, they want to have sort of some sort of narrative campaign with Factions too. It might be that they've bitten off more than they can chew, and that might happen. Like I'm not gonna pretend that that's not a possibility, that everything they do will always work out. But I'm not concerned in that sense that if that indeed turns out to be the case, that maybe they're gonna cancel it or whatever, or it's gonna be scaled down or whatever's gonna happen. That is gonna endanger their other project. Like I have every confidence that whatever they're working on, that's going to be great. And if they're indeed working on The Last of Us Part 3, that's going to blow us away because that's what Naughty Dog does. I mean, the same
Yeah,
people are still in charge. They're still a top tier studio.
gotcha. Nate, you here? Okay. Then I'm gonna go to the next topic, which shout out to Morgan. She is the one that shared it with me, with us, and boy oh boy, I'm not happy. So Star Wars Outlaw will have each planet roughly the size of two-third areas in Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Oh shoot! Oh shoot!
Um, what's going on? That's why.
Hmm.
Like, why? And here's why I'm saying why. Because I played Assassin's Creed. I know how, whatchamacallit, Ubisoft are. Let me ask, Nate is not here. Let me ask Weep and me and maybe Zrak. We played Survival, right?
Yeah, Survivor. Yeah.
Did it ever feel like a Ubisoft game where it's a
Uh,
where
no. Yeah. Look, if you want to call every open world game a Ubisoft game, then yes. But
no.
but
There is specifically open world game and then there is Ubisoft game
yeah,
in
no. It absolutely it felt like everything was in a way, I won't say handcrafted, but it was there for a reason. Like there wasn't really anything there that was wasted or felt like just
or filler,
filler or
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like so, yeah, that's also I mean, it's not well. I mean, it's absolutely overkill. I absolutely agree with you. It's typically Ubisoft, quantity over quality, I guess. So they just want to give you like a shit ton of things to do, so you keep invested and probably buy microtransactions or whatever. That's what they do. And yeah, it is concerning in an extent because that does feel like there's no way in hell that everything in that map is going to be interesting, right? Because there's a limited amount of resources they have to make this game. They cannot just have like everything be like if everything in that map was going to have like incredible side stories and fun stuff to do, that development cycle would take 10 years, right? That's never going to happen. So yeah, they're going to cut corners, going to be quicker the missions, and yeah, that is rather disappointing. Like again, like it's unfortunately also the larger trend in the industry. It has been
Quantity
so
over
for a while.
quality.
Yeah, exactly. But also like open world somehow means better, right? Like
Yeah.
this is and that's also a problem with critics. They do tend to favor open world. Like they think that if a game applies that wasn't traditionally open world, Zelda, yeah, that somehow makes it better, which I totally don't agree with. I think a game that is focused, that can be linear as fuck. I don't care, but if it's focused, if it knows what it's doing, if they're telling the story they want to do, and let you experience the game the way it wants you to experience it, it can be absolutely fantastic. Like open world doesn't necessarily make it better. It can work. Like you have fantastic examples like Horizon, but even then, initially, like when I was playing that, I also had a bit of sort of open world fatigue, right? That
With
there's just
Horizon?
too I had
And they
that
did
because
that better than most open world game, and still
yeah,
you have some
yeah,
to tip with it.
that's what I said. Like, it's absolutely a fantastic example of an open world game. But even that, like, even that game, because it was big and there was so much to do, at some point you can also get sort of overwhelmed and fatigue and set in. Like, you're thinking, yeah, there's so much to do, and I've been doing this for such a long time. Like, I'm getting tired of this, and but like, Horizon was an example of how you do it well, and I don't think they can sort of scale back at this point in time because they've made a choice of what the game is going to be. But like, I'm totally fine with games being like, they can have an open world or at least a semi-open world, but you know to scale, right? Don't It doesn't have to be the biggest map ever and it's just empty and there's nothing to do there, or like what Ubisoft does is everywhere like question marks, and the only thing there is some stupid boring side quest or collectibles or whatever. Like, just focus on telling a great story if that's what you want to do. Deliver great gameplay, and like, if you want to add side content and like side quests, like, make them meaningful. Like, again, I'm going back to Witcher 3. That's absolutely the king of side quests because these side quests were meaningful. They were well written. They had choices that and they were not predictable. They were not just green light, red light choice. Like, there's
Did they
obviously one
change
good
the
one and one
Did
bad
they
one.
change the story? The side
Yes,
quest.
some of them had actually impact on the
Okay.
main story, and there were some incredible side quests that sometimes that you didn't even know um, what the outcome would be, right? So it could be that were left with a choice, either like have to choose between two bad choices, that either choice, like, there's not a right answer to this, and some might have consequences later on that you didn't expect. You think, "Oh, this is obviously the right choice," and then turns out, well, you're wondering,
You
like,
thought you was
is
doing
it?
the right thing, and in turn it was not, and you screwed yourself. Something like that.
Well, and it's not necessarily like screw yourself. Like, there was a side quest where you had to save somebody's life by giving them, like Witcher herbs that they're used to create a Witcher, but it had the side effect that it will kill your emotions. So later on, you meet like the boyfriend or husband, whatever, of the woman that you helped, like, and it's like, yeah, you saved her, but like, now it literally has no emotion. So, like, question is, like, should you have let her die, or did she do the right thing to save her life, but then she's no longer the same person? So these kind of things
Yeah.
are very.
If you killed the emotion, it's over. You might as well be dead.
Yeah, but that's a very interesting question to ask. Like, is that the right? Like, what's the right choice there, right? And those are that's a perfect example. Or like, you had a quest where it just randomly pop up where you had to, where a couple of farmers were trying to lynch a deserter, like a soldier of the enemy army, and you were left the choice, intervene or not. And if you intervene, like Geralt literally chides like the soldier who's thanking him, like, yeah, I had to kill two people to save your life, so I don't consider this like a victory or anything. So, and that's brilliant writing. That's sort of like, that makes you think, like, there's no right answer to this, and that's sort of like, I'm sorry, going on a tangent here for The Witcher because it's such a fantastic game, but like, that's something that's meaningful. That's like, makes it worth doing it. And yet these cookie cutter missions and objectives and collectibles of like Assassin's Creed and typically Ubisoft, like, they feel like, look, I've played plenty of Assassin's Creed games. Like, I've played pretty much everyone except until they turn it into an RPG. Played Far Cry, and like, look, you play them, but it's sort of like OCD. Like, I fucking collected every fucking flag like in the original Assassin's Creed and
Me
Assassin's Creed
too.
2.
I feel you.
And
I feel you.
yeah, and like
And the
you want
feather
to,
and everything, right?
yeah, and like you're why the fuck am I doing it? Like you don't even get a decent reward for it. Like
You
you're
got
just
a
doing it
cape
because,
that look
yeah,
like nothing. You're like,
yeah,
I
exactly,
did. I collected 100 feather for this cape that look
exactly.
that
But
doesn't do anything.
yeah,
Thank you very
I
much,
I mean
Ubisoft.
that's Ubisoft. Yeah, I mean it's fucking ridiculous. Like that's sort of and like no like if you have a little bit of OCD, you're gonna do it because it's there. You're gonna do it because it's there, but you're always left empty afterwards. Like, what's the fucking point? Why did I waste my time in this? Because there's no reward. There's enough, and it's not even fun to do, and that's sort of why I'm sort of crawl back from this idea like open world games are fun. Like I just want to have a focused
Fun.
experience. If it's not open world, that's fucking fantastic. If you do open world, cool too, but do it right. Like don't waste my time. Like don't make me force me to stay into this game or try to keep me into this game longer than I have to because my backlog is fucking killing me. And so I don't need you to waste and this is like this is not like I'm still like at least what I've seen from the trailer, like at least it catches my interest. But the very fact that Ubisoft is tied to this has always been a red flag for me, and this is just another red flag. Like this might be just literally Assassin's Creed or Fallout or sorry Far Cry. Uh, with a Star Wars skin, and it might just be like a massive time waster that's just try there to to incentivize you to buy. Probably they will have like a ton of microtransactions. Like, yeah, you can level up faster or whatever if you buy or this particular piece of gear or whatever, right?
Interesting. Yo, if they do that this way, oh boy. Innate, you here? Okay, he's not here. Let's talk the elephant in the room. FTC lost. Uh, Microsoft
Well,
is free to buy Activision Blizzard, and all the hope are on what you call it, CMA. But apparently Microsoft have found around CMA, and which will be, according to The Verge, Tom Warren, Microsoft will not close the deal over UK CMA regulator next week. It wouldn't look good for future acquisitions. Microsoft could close the deal with the CMA end of July. Now that they have won with the FTC, the Activision could come to agreement to go beyond deadline. Deal will close within the next 6 weeks. Some expect Microsoft to sell off its cloud gaming in the UK to potentially EA. So basically, they found a way around this, and yeah, it's over. The deal will go through. My question will be: is this Pandora box opening, or is this a one time only? Weeb, what your thought? Because you had
Uh,
hope about the CMA, right?
well, the thing is like I didn't read the Verge article. What I read before is that the response of the CMA was a little more nuanced. It wasn't like they said, okay, now we're gonna talk, but more like, yeah, we are open for negotiations if indeed you're getting you can proceed with your acquisition in the US, but it seems like Microsoft basically didn't meet him in any of their demands. So I'm not entirely sure if it's realistic to say that the CMA is gonna buckle there. And then the other
But
thing
they
is
have
like
no other choice, because Microsoft is going to simply go around them.
they no, well they can try, but
No,
in the end,
they can simply stop selling. They simply don't sell their stuff in the UK, and that's it. They're willing to take the hit.
Well, if they want to do that, they can. But again, the UK is like the biggest gaming market in Europe, so I don't see that they can threaten to do that, but I do find it very unlikely that they're really willing to take that hit. And aside from that, the what the lawsuit the FTC lost was an injunction to temporarily stop the Microsoft from continuing with the acquisition of Activision because they have a deadline, right? If they don't meet a deadline, they have to pay Activision like a few $1 billion, regardless of whether the acquisition will take place or not. They have to renegotiate to continue the acquisition. So that's why they are in a hurry. And the FCC lost that. I think they maybe lost the appeal as well, but they still have a lawsuit in August. That's an antitrust lawsuit. That's on the federal level, by the way. It's not on the state level. So there's a different judge there. It's on the federal level, um, and that is basically going to rule whether or not their violation, that acquisition is gonna essentially, make them a monopoly or at least violate antitrust laws. And the reason why the FTC wanted to have that injunction in place because they feel like their investigation will be hindered if Microsoft just proceeds with the acquisition. And yeah, they lost that one, and that's unfortunate. But on the other hand, it also does give them sort of like a practice run. Like, okay, what do we have to do to make sure that we win that case? So I'm not entirely like it hurts. It doesn't hurt Microsoft's chances. It definitely improves their chances, but it doesn't mean that the acquisition in the end will go through because if that court case rules that indeed they're in violation of antitrust regulations, and it could very well be that the judge says, okay, sure, you have to sell off Call of Duty. Otherwise, you like even if they make that acquisition, and like 6 weeks is probably like might just hit that lawsuit. So they might actually sort of be waiting to make sure that the lawsuit goes in their favor. But if it's not, yeah, then it could still say, okay, cool, you can have Activision, but you still have to sell off Call of Duty, the IP, whatever, right? So I'm not yeah, look, currently it's looking more and more likely that the deal is going to go through. But then again, like we've had this in the past as well. Like we initially thought the CMA was going to approve it, then suddenly it turns out they're not. So I don't know. I mean, this
The
is this is
difference
like a
with this one, all hope was on the FTC, and they lost. And they
yeah,
lost really badly. But to be
but
fair,
but 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 they lost the injunction. They didn't lost the court case, the antitrust law court case, because that's still happening in August.
Yeah, so it's
uh,
not over yet.
but Microsoft, but people, not people, reports are saying they can close the deal now.
Yeah, they can continue the acquisition because that what's the injunction was about. But if the court case if the judge in the August the antitrust court case rules that they cannot, then they can still be forced to essentially sell Activision. So they could literally buy it, and then in August the judge could say, yeah, you're not allowed to buy it, so you have to sell it. They can like it's happened before. Like it happened before with Facebook. They were forced to sell. I don't know, it was Giphy or something that were forced to sell something they already had acquired because they were violating antitrust regulations.
Okay, we will see. Then, okay. The
It's,
question is, do you think CMA gonna buckle?
I don't think so because that's at least what I've read about what the actual nuance was about what they were like. They were saying like we want to make negotiate if indeed it happens that you're going to continue with the acquisition and are able to do that in the U.S. Then yeah we're still open to to negotiate, but they've put their terms on the table, right? They've said like, for example, sell Call of Duty, for example, and it doesn't seem like Microsoft is willing to meet any of the concessions that they've offered. So um, if you mean buckle, as in they're willing to let the deal go through under certain conditions, well, they've offered those, but on the other hand, Microsoft has not been willing to meet those and probably won't want to meet those because probably the acquisition doesn't make sense with them. So I don't think it. Don't think it's going as far as saying the CMA will buckle. Um, so again, like
Okay, so then let me ask
it's
you
it's
is a
okay.
different
Right.
question.
Yeah.
Do you think Microsoft gonna find a way around the CMA?
Not without uh, literally not selling any Call of Duty in the UK, which is like
They're
fucking
willing to take
insane.
the hit.
I mean, they haven't said that, so people are just assuming that.
No,
I,
no. Someone just reported that they might, they might, they
Again,
might.
people are assuming that, including Tom Warren.
Oh, so that's an
yeah,
assumption. Okay, thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Warren is a well-known Xbox fanboy journalist, so
I
I'm
know,
not
I know,
surprising.
I know that, but I thought, but he did break some news concerning to Xbox multiple times. That's why I use that.
Yeah, but
But
yeah,
okay,
he's just
I got you.
assuming. And
Okay,
it's
so
not
that's an
about
assumption.
them,
Okay, thank you.
buckling or whatever, like you said. They said, hey, we'll negotiate, which they said before, but Microsoft couldn't, like we've said, Microsoft couldn't match what they wanted, so they blocked it. Like,
Mm,
that's basically, we're still going to have to come to some sort of agreement. I mean, honestly, these are the only few people that seem to have any understanding of the deal. Like I said in the first place, like the person that they famously love to have a field day over, that was ridiculing Lena Khan here for the FTC. He still didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. Like, the dude was an absolute fucking idiot. Like, I don't really care what anybody fucking says. Like, if you listen to what he says, he didn't actually say anything. He just goes, Microsoft's a big company, a $1 trillion company, and you just want to go after them because you're a big meanie towards big tech companies. Then only to
I
find
mean,
out that
I'm
him
pretty
and the
sure
other
he said,
motherfuckers that are next to him are all backed
I'm,
by big tech companies. Like, of course
I'm
he's gonna
pretty
act like that.
sure he's taking money from Microsoft right
Well,
now.
no, they're all backed. Everybody that was on that panel next to him is apparently directly backed by big tech companies.
Yeah,
So they're going to just defend the shit arbitrarily anyway. So it's like he didn't specifically say anything. The only thing he tried to say was that PlayStation had a protected market. He says we are a global market, and he says PlayStation has then goes to proceed to say PlayStation has a protected market in Japan. And I was like, protected how, motherfucker? Like, you don't even fucking know what that means because you don't even fucking know why they are in the position they are over there. This is my problem with these people. This is what I'm saying about people not playing games and not understanding the industry, that they have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. I don't care. I don't care if this dude's got 10 million degrees and a PhD. He's still a fucking idiot as far as I'm concerned when it pertains to this fucking deal. Like, he calling it a protected. There's nothing fucking protected, motherfucker. If Microsoft made some good ass games that Japanese people wanted to play, motherfucker, then they would play them. Like, stop giving these fucking bullshit ass, lame fucking excuses to this fucking $1 trillion corporation because they ain't shit. Because they can't make shit, so they want to buy shit, which is always what they fucking done. Like, I'm sick of this shit from fucking American politicians and their bullshit. Like, oh my god, bro, fucking clown. Like, motherfuckers just want to
I
laugh and be like,
mean,
oh, it's so funny, she got
they,
chewed out. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck what she did, nigga. Like, that shit was trash. He still doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. There's nothing protected. But then you immediately want to mention the global market, which you have no fucking concern over because the only concern is that fat ass check from Microsoft in your back pocket. Like, maybe if you
yep.
wasn't such a puppet and they didn't have their hand up your ass so fucking far that you couldn't breathe, motherfucker, maybe you'd have some real shit to say, but you don't, bitch. Anyway.
Well,
You
It,
tell
well,
him,
yo,
man. You tell him.
this dude went, this dude went to look up what to talk about and came in with the buzz. I'm like,
I'm sorry, man.
that was a that was a that was that was a emphatic attitudey bitch. I mean, you really mean that shit from your soul when you say it that way.
Man,
He is like, let me go in.
people been running that bullshit all fucking week, bro, and I just was like sick of this shit, bro. Like come with me with some facts or
So
get that shit out my face.
okay, I have a question for you, and we were talking about it, and it's a different topic, but shout out to Morgan for sharing it.
Yeah.
A new Star Wars Outlaw will have each planet roughly the size two-thirds areas in Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Oh well, you kind of read that wrong. It's not 2/3. It's 2 to 3.
Oh,
2/3 is
what?
smaller than 2 to 3.
Wait, 2 to 3
Yeah.
area? Oh God, Nate, help us.
So they're trying to say
Nate,
it's gonna be 2 to 3 times the size.
and Nate,
Ooh.
uh,
Yep.
it no. So basically, it's worded weird. It stated that would have 2 to 3 areas, roughly the size of 2 3 areas in Assassin. Are they
No, no, no.
talking about Assassin's
What?
Creed Odyssey
Uh,
map,
what what
or are
what
they
they're
talking about
what
what are they
what they're
talking?
saying what they're saying is each planet roughly has a size of 2 3 areas in Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yes.
But Odyssey had small areas and had big areas, so it's difficult to
I
measure that.
I I assume let's say the average area size, so let's say a big area.
Oh no, then this is gonna be another Valhalla shit.
Well, I guess my
Exactly.
question is, how many planets are there going to be? Because if it's like
It's
Yeah,
not gonna
four
be that.
planets, then
It's gonna be no. It's gonna be worse than Valhalla.
well, that's the thing. If it's only 4 planets, then that's not that big. But if it's like 30 to 40 planets, yeah, we might have a problem.
well, it is not going to be 30, 40 planets, but even if
It
it's
might
four
be
planets,
if
it's still going to be
five to
massive.
ten. It might be 5 to 10, but now Odyssey is a big game.
Yeah, it is.
Um. Oh my god. Alright, what you thought? He left. He went in, dropped his button, then left. Oh, he's
No,
with
I
us.
got you. I
Okay.
got you. No, I got a phone call, but
Okay.
no.
Yeah,
I
just
mean,
flip that line real quick.
yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Uh, the size of it or whatever. I mean, we got to see, right? Like, I'm not gonna write it off just because it's supposedly bigger or whatever. As long as it might be bigger because I mean, one of the things you got to keep in mind is we're using vehicles, right? So the size may be largely irrelevant. Um, Due to the fact that you see her riding like a speeder bike and stuff like that. So I don't I don't think it'll be too big of an issue. Um, I think there's going to be plenty of open area in between maps and quests and so on and so forth. So I think it'll be fine. I mean, so far, like I said, the game's given me everything the game has given me has been phenomenal. So until they
I
give
have a
me a reason
question
for it
for
not
you.
to, then we'll see.
When you played uh, Star Wars
Jedi Survivor.
Survival, yeah, we hear you.
Yeah.
When you played Survival, did you feel that it was bloated, or did you feel like it was like a Ubisoft game?
No, it didn't feel like a Ubisoft game at all.
But that's
The
the
areas
difference
the
there.
areas are
Ubisoft,
large, but not overly so.
but that's the difference though with Ubisoft. Ubisoft are known for their empty games. You played Valhalla. You know how that shit
Well,
is.
Valhalla's problem is it's big and busy. Like it's just there's too much to do. Um, but
Are they gonna do that with Outlast? Well,
I mean potentially, but I mean maybe that I won't knock them because I mean the one thing I'll tell you about Ubisoft games is someone who has played them all the way from the original AC. There's always some sort of evolution to their games. Like something changes. They always learn something in design philosophy that comes forward in the next game. So maybe they learn something and maybe it doesn't end up feeling bloated. I mean, we hope
okay.
not. Yep.
So my question it will be: do you think Starfield is gonna nail it well?
I mean, I think Starfield is going to nail it from the point of view that it's very much still Fallout in space. I mean, I have 100% confidence in them when it comes to, their own series, and that's essentially still what Starfield is. It's Fallout in space. So, I mean, everything I've seen that they've focused on, I mean, it's going to be great for me. I'm not expecting anything beyond that some people were, the alien races and a bunch of other stuff. Like I'm well aware of the limitations within this game, but I'm happy to play in that playground regardless. So yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna nail what they want us to get out of it just fine.
Uh,
With the
my
focus on the ship and your crew and the story that they're gonna tell with the different factions.
my biggest obstacle would be that no vehicles with how open the areas planets are.
I mean, I say that now, but I haven't landed on one yet. So it sounds like a bad
Okay, fair
idea,
point.
but it also sounds like the area that we explore is very limited. So, it may not ultimately be that way at first. And also, one thing that they're famous for that a lot of games just aren't these days is they're famous for multiple expansions, not just DLC, but expansions.
And they're
Major,
also famous for mods, so maybe we're gonna see mods.
yeah, yeah. I mean, people can mod that in no problem. But that's what I'm saying. Like with the expansions, like you're talking about expansions that are 2 to 3 times what the size of what we got in Burning Shores. So
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, they're actual expansions. So they add a lot to the game whenever they do that, and they're famous for adding 3 to 4 of those per game. So it might start that way, but when they start adding stuff to it, that might be one of the ideas they really wanted to expand on. But maybe they wanted it to be as robust as the way you design your ship, which is just going to take them more time. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I don't think it'll
Gotcha.
be an issue early on.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Um, what's your thoughts on uh, what you call it? The CMA decision. No, no, no. I talked to you about it. Um, Viper. What's your thoughts on it? The whole FTC losing.
First, I would like to point out that from the beginning, I've always stated I don't really play many games from that company. I do, and the one game I did play, Diablo 4, I've been having a lot of issues logging into the server, so I kind of left that in the dust. Um, However, yeah, this they won the injunction. It's not once again, it's not over yet. And we have at least the comfort of knowing the CMA is not greased by the U.S. Uh, payment plan. So that they have their own rules and regulations, and I'm pretty sure that other countries probably follow it a little bit stricter than the U.S. That's not named Russia or North Korea. Um, but yeah, they're going to. It's sad to me because the only thing Microsoft is going to do is acquire it and have that shit wither and die away.
Oh yeah,
And
you already know.
they've already stated. I don't understand for the life of me how a clear email that states spin Sony out of business is completely ignored in that case. That is the most damning evidence you could provide, and it that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough.
Hey,
So
money talk, bullshit walk.
um it's sad for the COD players that they're gonna have to deal with this, and I can see a lot of COD players going through like withdrawal because they're now playing COD right now, trying to get that last little bit of plays in. They know who they are, um, and
Oh yeah, they moved. They moved to what you call it. They would rather play Fortnite than play COD at this point in time.
I see it all up and down my friends list. COD. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, get your last little bit in right now because it's gonna be shit later. Even though some of them would consider it to be shit now. But
But they still buy it. But still bought it.
with that being said, I'm also concerned that my
They
concern, like I said
always
before,
watch it.
with Tencent was as long as they're willing to do something with the products and continue to bring out products that people want. If they're going the way of Microsoft and Microsoft keeps, let's say, for example, Microsoft buys EA, hey, I feel sorry for the people who played the sports games, even though those were cut and paste to begin with anyway. Um, but they can't manage what they got. So that's my whole ordeal. The whoever buys these companies need to be able to keep producing quality products. That's all I ask. And it's sad because I know Microsoft is not going to follow through with that.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. And yeah, Zarek, what your thought?
Mm, mm, I don't know. I just, I really didn't care for it. I just
Okay,
don't.
gotcha.
Uh,
Then, with that being said, let me see if we are out of topics.
oh, one thing about that
Mm-hmm.
board game, I like what I said, what I saw. I like exactly what I saw. I was like, bro, because I played, man, majority of Ubisoft games. I played a lot of, and I've beaten many of them. That one right there, that's gonna be another one that I will buy. That's definitely gonna be one because that one right there, I like what I saw. The gameplay already had me hooked already. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I probably will pre-order it. Probably, most likely. Ain't no hesitation about that. Um, but yeah, hey, so I
Gotcha.
missed. Yeah, go ahead.
Um. Okay, so with Microsoft, and this is the final topic. Microsoft maybe going through with that and getting away with that. Is this going to be a one time only, or is this a Pandora box that once you open it, you can't close it? And hey, what's your
Ooh.
thought? He's muted, so I thought let me try my luck. The weep. Weep, what's your thought?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
So the question is with Microsoft almost getting through with it, and they might actually go through with it and get away with it, with a deal. Do you think Pandora box have been opened and the regulator have can't regulate anymore, or do you think that's a one time only?
I'd say for Microsoft, it is likely not gonna. They're gonna have a harder time buying any other publishers because they've seen how hard it was to get this one through. So if this goes through, I mean, the regulator is gonna fight tooth and nail with every acquisition they make, and every acquisition they make is gonna make it harder for Microsoft to maintain that they're doing this for the game or so whatever excuse they're gonna use. Um, it does open up the possibility for Sony to announce, "Hey, we're gonna buy Publisher too," because well, look, Microsoft bought two, so and that's perfectly fine. So we can do it as well. So that's in that sense, the outcome of this acquisition will determine the likelihood of more publishers being bought, but I do think that it will limit Microsoft's options simply because they've seen how hard it was to get this one through, and how you know, assuming it goes through, how close it was and how much money it took. That I'm not convinced that they're just going to say, oh yeah, we're going to buy another one as well. I think this was just this is what they were after, and everything else is just it doesn't matter anymore. They don't need to buy a Japanese publisher or whatever because they have Call of Duty.
What if they try to buy a Japanese publisher? Then what?
Well, I'd say it's um well the thing is like it's of course more challenging because of the way they're structured, that they have like this protective mechanism where they hold each other's stock to ensure that they can be bought up. But if a publisher says like we want to be bought, then technically sure they could. but the question is like who would want to? Because the only publisher we've seen playing nice with Microsoft is Sega. But I'd say like what they like, especially considering the timing, I'd say they have made some deals, especially concerning Persona and Yakuza with Microsoft, and they kind of want to play nice and do them a favor. Like, yeah, we're gonna release a statement that we are, we feel like we're treated better by Microsoft than by Sony. Right at the moment, there's a court case going on, along an injunction going along for Microsoft trying to buy a publisher. So I think that wasn't like a signal, as some people think, like, oh yeah, please buy me. No, it's just they probably made a deal regarding that. Like, yeah, do us a solid there, so so it makes it easier for us to buy that publisher, and and you're gonna get we're gonna give you I don't know bonus or whatever they've discussed to make sure that to compensate them for that. And I think it's like I think Sega is just trying to make the best out of the situation, because they know like these top dogs are fighting. We're gonna profit of it. And I think this might also be sort of like not just necessarily like a sort of trying to crawl up in Microsoft's ass. They might also trying to sort of hint to something like, yeah, look, if you want if you want to get like us to sing your praises, if you want get some great deals for your services or whatever, you got to pay up. I think this was more of a power move, and something prearranged, rather than just suggesting that they're up for acquisition. So I mean, and like with most of these publishers, they are doing pretty well, right? They're not really looking for being to be sold. At least that's what we know. It doesn't mean that's set in stone or whatever. Um, but yeah, I do think like they're gonna have a challenge there, aside from any difficulties they're gonna have for being an American company, and for any antitrust regulations, of course. But also that there's you have to want to be bought by an American company, and not many Japanese companies, as far as I'm aware of, are very keen on that, especially because of the cultural uh, shift. Like I don't think there that anyone is really jumping for joy if saying like, please Microsoft buy me, and
So you think
especially considering like the also considering like the position of Xbox in Japan, because you know, whatever they're doing here in the West, like it doesn't change the fact that they're still a third-rate console there. That they're not really doing anything. They failed with the Xbox. They failed with the 360 with the One. They're not making a dent there. They completely screwed up their original launch of the Xbox. They went there in Japan. They had Bill Gates going there, giving a a presentation in English, which completely because most Japanese don't really know English very well, so they completely went over terribly because they felt insulted by that. They talked with all publishers, and they were they completely forgot that they actually had like a motto or a slogan, and like they had no vision. Like they were just they completely fucked that up, keep kept fucking up, and now they're in the position that they are, and like they could buy they could try buying a publisher, but the only thing that was gonna do is gonna make Western like people here more inclined to like get an Xbox. But these games are not you know big enough to warrant that acquisition. Like Sega doesn't have any IPs that are popular but not
Yakuza?
big enough. Yeah, but Yakuza is not throw it's chump change compared to games like Call of Duty, right? They're like they're doing well enough that we keep getting them, and that they are incentivized to also doing day and day, like making sure that we're getting the game at the same time we're getting it, that people are getting it in Japan. But they're not like they're not like worth spending billions of dollars to get that studio to put those games on your service. They're gonna appeal like, and I'm willing to absolutely bet that these games are not don't have very high completion rates on Xbox, as most
But
games have, but I don't, especially these games. I think they're generally people are just using them as bragging rights because it used to be PlayStation exclusive, and now it's some suddenly, you know, Sega is favoring Xbox. I think that's the only thing that's counts for these fanboys or for these fans or whatever you want to call them. I don't think it really like it's not like Sega's not gonna like they know like these games are not gonna sell well. We're just gonna take the bag. We're gonna give us the bag, and we're gonna make some extra money there. And Microsoft is willing to pay us extra to favor them, but that's about it. I don't think that they have any real incentive at this point. Like if the Activision deal goes through, to actually go for a Japanese publisher, because like it's not serving their own audience because their Japanese games are not popular on Xbox, and it's not going to change anything for for their position in Japan, because like if they even like if they bought Sega, there are so many other games that other publishers like. Yeah, if you bought a game like Final Fantasy, and even that's a question because of like Square Enix and have Final Fantasy, there's even a question now considering the direction that Final Fantasy is going. Like that would like if you had Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, these are like the games in Japan that are like household names that are big, huge. Like if you had those, um, you might be able to get a foothold, and even then, the risk is very high that you're just gonna fuck them up because you're putting them on a platform that nobody wants. So I like I don't really see it happening. Like look, I don't know anything. I'm not a analyst or have any inside information, but I find it very unlikely purely using common sense.
okay, Viper, you here? Is
Yep,
AFK?
I'm here.
Nay. Oh,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
here.
here.
Okay. So same question. Will is this a one time only,
Oh,
or do you think?
domino
Yeah,
effect.
domino effect. Yeah.
Uh, it could be, but not for Microsoft. Um, what I mean by that is, uh, PlayStation, Tencent, and all those other will get the green light to go. Okay, snatch this, snatch that, because they haven't really been investigated as badly as Microsoft has. Um, however, um, yes, I believe a lot of things are starting going to start get bought up, but as we've stated, I don't think American companies will have a chance to buy up Japanese ones because they're very particular about holding on to their shit. Uh,
Yeah, you don't want to lose your own economy.
yeah,
Hey,
and
this dude, he's
that,
alive.
that's a fact right there. Because we already know that America is willing to outsource their shit to other countries and make their economy tank, but other countries are not so fast to do that because they know what it means to have the economy thriving within their space with their own space. Um, I'll be damned if you're in China or North Korea somewhere, and when you call somebody for a service call, you will not hear an American on that other side of the phone. I guarantee you that.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, yes, I believe it's a domino effect. How bad it will happen and who goes what is another story. Um,
Exactly.
it could be a domino. I would say the domino effect would be more in favor of Sony than it would be on Microsoft, because Microsoft has two things going against it. One is people already looking over there and going, "Yeah, no, we don't want to be with you," and two, um, it's an American company. That's another reason to go, no, we don't want to be under you. So, uh, whereas I don't think any people look at Sony and they go, oh, they're willing to help our studio. Yeah, we'll go over there. Or just, with the typical lazy Americans don't, they're going to sell out to whoever gives them the highest bid, I guess, that's not Microsoft.
I mean, clearly they handle things very differently. One company has proven thus far that if you join them as a first party studio, you are going to thrive. Your team is going to level up, so to speak. You're going to get access to resources and things you did not have before that is going to help your studio go to the next level. Versus the other one seems to be consistently struggling to help these studios that they purchased that were double A before or whatnot and help them get up to the triple A level, and they're just not really sure how to do it. So it's like, I mean, you want to work with the Super Bowl team that's 7 time Super Bowl champs, or you want to run with the guys that got the market cap of the Yankees but keep losing. It's like
But the one with the market cap of Yankee still have money.
that's what market cap is.
Yeah.
Market cap is the amount of money. That's what I'm saying. So they have the market cap of the Yankees, but they keep losing. It's like, no,
Yeah, like the
athletes
Yankees
want to
will
win.
buy any and everybody, but they're still not
They're
winning.
still losing. Yeah.
Mm. I mean, look at CD Project, not CD Project Red. That would be a disaster. That would be a nightmare for innate. Now, look at um, I believe Microsoft find a way to convince studios like money. All they need. Like, look what happened with Bethesda.
Yeah, yeah, but
Apparently,
but
Microsoft.
again,
Apparently, Bethesda wanted what you call it. Are projected to sell 10 mil of Starfield,
yeah,
and they're gonna lose
but
that money out of PlayStation.
their parent company ZeniMax wanted to sell, and they were having financial issues. So that was a reason for them to acquire them. So, but
Mm.
now what came with that acquisition, again, is part of the reason why I said just because you purchase the company doesn't mean you're going to get the talent, right? Um, yeah, you still got Pete Hines or whatever, but Pete and Todd Howard and so forth, but they still need those group of people over the years that have made Bethesda games what they are. It takes an entire team to do those. Todd definitely does not do them by himself. That despite him being the spokesperson or the director for a lot of these, there's a ton of work that comes from it. And I mean, he even mentions it if you watch the extended coverage, where they're like, there's a piece of each person in this game, something they wanted, and they were like, yeah. So I love when you do this. Me and my team came up with this part of it, and me and my team we wanted this to be in there. And you talk about all the little pieces. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about when I say like, this is how games come together. You need the whole team, but over time, you've got this game and possibly the DLC, but a lot of people could go like, this is the last project I'll work on for them, or a lot of people might stay till the Elder Scrolls and then just call it. That's kind of
I
the
got a
issue.
question. I got a question. What
Hmm.
what are the top three high selling genre games on Sony right now?
Genres.
Yeah.
Uh, that's pretty tough.
Well, for Call of
Uh,
Duty, which is number one almost all the time, is the
I was
first
gonna
person shooter.
is it? Yeah, I was gonna say it's being an FPS. Um,
The second one would be sports, because a lot of people will buy a PlayStation
just to
4
play NBA 2K and
just to play
Madden.
sports.
Yeah.
And the third one is kind of a tie. I would say Western RPGs. Um, well, it's a tie between fighting. Well, actually, fighting games are kind of niche, but I think there's one Street Fighter Six, but the Western RPGs, and
Hmm.
it seems like Microsoft already took away the Western RPGs.
Pretty heavily,
They're
you know.
pretty close to getting rid of the first person shooter. You know who they're going after next?
Japanese.
No, EA Sports.
Oh.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I could have.
Well,
And
that's why I
Mm.
mentioned earlier
and
that they were talking about selling, and that would be dangerous because even though none of us play them,
mhm.
like losing something like FIFA is like you losing GTA.
And shout out to Sick because he brought that to my attention. I was like, oh shit, yeah, they that's what they trying to do.
Yeah, that's why I said
Well,
when I first
what
heard
it
that
is,
they were talking about selling, I was like, oh God, please no. But yeah, what were
no,
you saying?
they're actually selling um uh strong arming Sony out of the market.
I mean, they
That's
literally
the
said,
whole plan.
yeah,
Yep,
it
that's the
said
whole plan.
we're in a unique position to spend Sony out of business. That wasn't a joke. That wasn't a tagline. That was in a direct email from an
Email. Yep.
executive to another executive. They meant what they said, and it's currently happening. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I said any more than what Microsoft has been allowed to do, it's just making it more and more dangerous for PlayStation.
Yep.
They gonna do it and they're gonna get away with it.
Yeah,
Not way worse. The what you call it? Regulators have shown me that they don't know how to do their job. They show me they're corrupt and willing to take bribes just for the heck of it.
yeah. I mean, they, like I said, to us, that like to them, like our industry is no different than uh, Verizon wanting to combine with AT&T. You know what I mean? Like they're looking at it like any other merger. They don't have the inner workings of a merger. Like you don't have to know how telephones work in order to classify that merger. But the
Yep.
problem with gaming is an entertainment source, so you have to understand the intellectual properties at play and how each of them affect the industry. So like that's the problem, and none of these people understand that. So in the short amount of time that they're interacting with this, I know it's been months, but that's the research of the FTC versus Microsoft, who is actually in this, trying to basically explain this in the course of a few weeks to some judge who has absolutely zero knowledge, um, you know, or congressmen and congresswomen or whatever, who again also have zero knowledge. These people just don't know, and ultimately do not care. Like that's the
Yeah,
problem.
but that's the key point. They do not care. So we're screwed.
I mean, essentially, yeah. They say you look like any other piece of business to them, and that again, like I said, that's the problem. It's not just any other piece of business. It's a very specific set of. It's a very specific business which requires the knowledge of what's at play here, and so they're trying to evaluate from a number standpoint why why something is important and why it's not. And you think it was oddly convenient that they kept saying they kept going, oh well, you know, Nintendo's not a factor. Nintendo's not a factor until they were like, oh well, Nintendo doesn't have Call of Duty and they don't care. Now all of a sudden Nintendo's a factor. I just wanted to point
Mm-hmm.
out that Nintendo didn't need Call of Duty, so PlayStation shouldn't need it either. And it's like that's a false equivalency. Those things are not equal. That their business is entirely different. And again, this is again why I say it's so important for someone who's having the conversation to understand what's at play within the industry because all of us know why Nintendo doesn't need Call of Duty. Largely because, I mean, obviously their online infrastructure is trash. They have no way to communicate in the first place. They have no party chat. And we know the system is 10 times weaker than anything else on the market. And it's built for an entirely different purpose. which is fine. That's their lane. They got a special lane, but they're still part of the competition. All of us in here, for the most part, have a Switch or wanted a Switch at some point. There's a reason
Yep.
there's over 100 million of them
I
bitches
want
sold.
one.
But
I
that's
don't
what I'm
have
saying.
one, but I got you.
Yeah. So it's all. But
I don't
what
have
does
one either.
Switch do? Right. Switch is always the side bitch, every time. It's never nobody's main console. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like Viper just said, he bought a bunch of stuff when he took his side bitch on vacation. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
This dude never wanted a Switch in his entire life. Is going Switch.
Yeah, he
Well,
went.
I used to take my PS5 with me, but my PS with me when I had it when I was a PS4. But the PS5 is a little too big to
Yeah,
be
it's big.
traveling
It's
with.
big.
So
Yeah. Yep. So then you take the
Okay.
side piece.
Question to you, Inez. You're gonna break it for up, down, the, at least for me, because I don't know anything about technology for the most part.
Yeah.
So Nixes announced their next port, and long behold, it's Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. And here where it got murky for me. Apparently, you can run this game without the need of an SSD.
Yeah. So the hard drive specs at the low end, let's say 720p 30 FPS. That's what you're referring to.
So, so the question becomes, and I want to make it very fair for PlayStation. Can can you run this game on a PC that's the equivalent of a PlayStation 4 and be the same as what you call it, the PlayStation 5 version?
No.
Okay. Can it be done on PC the same way? Can you have the PlayStation 5 version on the PlayStation on PC
I mean, of course, you have direct storage, and they can use they can
without
use
an
M.2
SSD? Without an
SSDs.
SSD, would it be
No,
the same without an SSD?
no, because you can't load the textures and stream the
So
same way.
so
So no.
you're actually killing. You actually needed to
To have the proper
yep,
experience, the way it's designed, yes, you would need the
I
SSD.
I guarantee you there's going to be load times, which is what we did not have on the PS5.
mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. So absolutely. And I mean, like I said, they can utilize the the SSDs. They also the throughput is finally matching up and getting to where it needs to be. Like again, remember I told you at one point the problem with PCs is PCs often have the hardware before they have the optimization and the software to utilize everything. That's basically what you're finally seeing, right? There's a reason why they talked about the direct storage 1.2. That like enhances the throughput where they're talking about potentially even Gen 3 SSDs can perform on par or better than the PlayStation 5's throughput capability for its M.2. Like that's what's happening here. But this tech is only just now being utilized, and you're talking about this tech was promised when Windows 10 first came out. Most people don't even remember when Windows 10 came out. It's been so damn long. And that's when that tech was originally promised. And that tech is only just now being utilized. And the 1.2 version, Ratchet and Clank is the first game to even use it. So it's very complicated. It's not so black and white. Oh, it doesn't need an SSD. This, that, and the third. Blah blah. There is a baseline performance that you want. So when people keep saying, "Oh, could it have ran on a PS4?" A fucking course it could have, but not the
But
way
that's the
that it
thing.
ran on the PlayStation 5, and that was the point. They wanted a baseline experience for anyone who played the game, and this is where it was. And like I said, it's the same thing when Destiny 2 came out, and they said, "Hey, people were like, can it run on the old ones? Sure. But then we're going to have to cut your inventory in half. Then we're going to have to cut your storage in half. Then when you play the game, it doesn't give the experience that we want the user to have. So when you're flying in and this is happening, and that's happening on the screen, it's all going to load in really slow. And also, the flames can't be as big, and we can't have ambient occlusion, and we can't have. You see what I'm saying? Eventually, you make so many compromises that the game is no longer the desired experience that you wanted the user to have. That's what's happening. So yeah,
Mm,
could it? Sure, but no, it'd be nowhere in mind the same experience that we all lovingly had on our PS5s. Absolutely not.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, can somebody
Interesting.
force it? Of course, somebody could force it. That's why they put that HDD bullshit at the bottom, because someone out there is gonna try it. Can you crank it up on the HDD? Sure, but the more you crank it up, the higher the textures needed, the more streaming is gonna be needed from the hard drive, and it's going to either stutter or have load time
Yeah,
issues and a bunch of other stuff.
My
I was about to.
question also, will it be able to? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Viper.
No,
I'll
I
go
was about to
after
say.
you.
I was about to say if there's no load times, at the very least, it's gonna stutter
Yeah,
when you're changing worlds.
yeah.
Not only that, will it be running 60 FPS with ray tracing? Because if I remember correctly, PlayStation had either 60 or 30 with ray tracing.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like you can try it because no one can stop you from changing the settings, right? I can load it on my hard drive and try to change the settings and see what happens. But the reason you're not going to get 60 consistently in a mode like that is because the way everything needs to load into the game, the way it's designed is going to, like he said, stutter, not load in properly. Textures are going to be loading slow if the game doesn't lock up on your ass entirely at all. That's the problem. It's the same thing with it's the same thing with Flight Simulator. Flight Simulator can be loaded and played on a hard drive, but the game would be stuttering and flipping out all over the place if you did. And that's with you having world text streaming on or whatever. Like you need the SSD because you need the speed that it offers to stream all this stuff through and be able to communicate between your graphics card and your CPU and your memory all at once. Like it's a combination of things. So yeah, that's why the SSD is essentially still needed, despite what people want to say. And you might get 60 occasionally if you stand still some damn where. You know what I'm saying? And let everything load in, which people will find all kinds of bullshit. You know, you'll see to try and justify it and try to be like, oh, it didn't need it and blah blah. You know, and like I mean, plenty of people are gonna try it because you remember the other thing I told you about PlayStation stuff is that when it releases on PC, they don't have any DRM, so the game is cracked day one. So plenty of people will crack it and try to fuck with it and see what they can get away with. You know, just because. So I'm sure you'll see a bunch of bullshit on July 26th, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, would you have the same experience on a PS4? Absolutely fucking not.
Gotcha. That's all I needed to know.
Yep.
With that being said, I think we have come to the end of uh, the conversation.
Yeah.
Feel free to end it.
Yeah, do your outros.
Oh yeah, I forgot about outros. My bad. Nate, where people can find you?
Yeah, just again, you know, on Twitter at the real Innate, on PSN Innate. Uh, as of this moment on Final Fantasy mode, you know,
Body
spending
mode, right?
spending the next 45 minutes killing regular mobs, you know, because they have too much damn HP, and I don't know who thought that was a good idea.
Don't don't fight the mob.
No, no,
Just
no. I'm giving them shit because the regular
mm.
mobs are just overly tanky. But yeah, you get it. But yeah, otherwise, man,
Also
keeping it gaming.
make sure to do if you want the ultimate weapon.
Yeah,
Make sure to do mob side
you
quests.
have to do the blacksmith quest to get it.
Yeah. Now you have to do multiple quests to get it.
Yeah, the blacksmith quest is multiple quests.
Um. Oh yeah. Yeah. Also, you can always skip the story content.
Yep.
It saves you time. That's what I did. Like, no.
Yeah, I plan on doing most of it just because I want to make sure I get enough AP by the time I get to the end to have enough AP to
Mm-hmm.
finish. But yeah, I'll be all good.
Okay, thank you. Viper, where people can find you?
Viper Reaps Corner on YouTube and at Reap Viper on Twitter. Um, and I'll be slithering back to my corner. I can't find my PlayStation, my Edge cord because that's the longest. I'm sorry, that's it.
We, where people can find you?
You can find me on Twitter as the Weep Share with Infant Rhizome, and of course, Other Nation.
Author donation it is. And as for me, people can find me in Caravan_job on Twitter and Games Player every Vitamin G podcast
You
every.
forgot the wreck.
Yeah. I
Uh,
thought that. I will
So,
give him.
I
I
know
will give the rec after me. Uh, 8 p.m. Intertal time. The rec, where people can find you?
Man, you can find me on Twitter as the Wreckage 89. On PlayStation is Raphael underscore C 1989. Now be safe, be blessed, man. Peace.
Gotcha. And with that being said, an 8 to end it.
Yeah, and also, of course, one time for the ladies since they not here, Morgan and Kay, Otter Nation. Peace.
All right,
Other Nation.